All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to WitchLab Wednesday Live. Thanks for joining me. My name is Tiffany Boggins. I'm your host, and today is June 15th, 2022. Happy Pride Month to everybody. Hope you all have wonderful, safe celebrations now and forever and always, not just this month. Let's see. Tonight, my guest is Melissa Madara. She is the co-owner of Catland Books, a witch store that I have been following and a huge fan of for a long time. They are in Brooklyn, New York City, and she's also the author of The Witch's Feast. So she's going to be on in a little bit. Let's see what's going on. Let's see if anybody's here yet. Christy, first one. Hello. Hello to Michigan, Christy. It's good to see you. All right, let's see. What stuff do I have to tell you guys? Where's my notes? Come back here, please. Okay, yeah. As far as Happy Pride goes, the Columbus Pride March is this coming Saturday. It kicks off at Broad and I and goes up towards Goodale Park. So if you want to be out and support and sweat and support, I love those events outside in mid to late June. We've got Pride, and then we've got ComFest here, which is another big one that we do. And in both of them, you can expect to sweat, be downpoured on, and then sweat some more. But none of that stops the fun. Speaking of gross things that are happening right now, as far as like sweating, so much of Columbus power is out. What I actually screenshotted the numbers because I cannot believe it. It's insane. And I've never really seen anything quite like this. Let's see, according to AEP, 250,000 of customers without power as of Tuesday night. 169,000 of those are in Columbus. And then by mid-Wednesday, today, total number 135,000, 85,000 still in Columbus. So to anybody who, is dealing with that, I'm so sorry. If you're sitting in your car watching this, because it's the only way you can be cool and have your phone work. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here. And I expect our numbers are going to be a little down tonight too, because people just aren't going to be able to access it until when they say the power is going to go back on, which is tomorrow, which is insane. And people are getting hotel rooms and doing all kinds of things to help this situation. All right, let's go back to hellos. There's a bunch of people here now. Hi, Michelle. Hey, Christina, Connie, Jean. Jean, okay. Oh, good. Thank you for that update on the book club. I will talk about that because I think I had it wrong. And hey, Casey. So, hey, everybody. It's good to see you all. So what I want to tell you about is the exciting stuff that's going on with the dark market. So for those of you who don't know, the dark market is WitchLab's yearly big event. It's been on hold, obviously, because of COVID, but we're back and in full force, and it's happening. It's October 22nd and 23rd. It's a ways out, but with all that we're planning, we kind of need all this time. We actually started back in January. So let me fill you on what we've got booked so far. For entertainment, we have the Amazing Giants. If you have never been to an event where they are, yeah, you can't miss it. They are amazing. Stilt walkers, fire breathers, accordion players, all kinds of fun, milling about wonderfulness that's going to add to the whole magical ambiance of this. We have sacred shimmy, tribal belly dancing. We have, and I've been saying this wrong for the past week. I didn't realize it. We have the crick draggers. I've been saying creek draggers, and it's not. It's crick draggers. And evidently Maeve really likes that name because she's going to growl at me, which is a fine, twangy rock and roll with a dark side. I just heard their latest song called Haunted. Very fun. Emmy Lazarus and the Recently Deceased are going to be there, which is a spooky 60s garage band performing songs about Dracula and Frankenstein and characters from our favorite horror movies. And what WitchLab event would be complete without the vocal stylings of Lance Cashmere, who is the lounge singing alter ego of the genius who's actually behind most of WitchLab's graphic design work, and my better half, Jason Kincaid. So he'll be there singing for all of you. The Ironwood Ambassador Wolves and Foxes will both be there. Well, I mean, they'll have the wolves one day and the foxes one day. So if you go both days, you'll get to see all the animals. For our lecture and workshop series so far, we have Najah Lightfoot, who is going to be sharing her book release party with us. Ivo Dominguez Jr. will be there not only to teach a class, which is going to be understanding and removing negative workings, hugely helpful, and one of the things that we get a lot of questions about at the shop. And he's going to be giving readings both days. So the opportunity to get a reading from Ivo Dominguez is a huge thing. Estrella Taylor will be there performing an opening ritual for us, and also doing a class, a workshop based around Medusa. Who doesn't want to go to that? So, and as far as shopping, we'll have over 40 vendors peddling witchy, occult items, oddities, art, all sorts of the wonderfully weird. Deadline for vendor applications is June 30th. And for those who have already applied, we will be getting all notifications out by mid-July. Yes, I didn't give an exact date because that gives me a little wiggle room. It's hard to plan. Our dark market planning committee is actually called the Dark Council. Sometimes it's hard to get us all together at the same time. So, but I promise you, you will know by mid-July. There will also be food trucks and beverages, including alcohol. Yes, we got a liquor permit. And all proceeds of that go to a charity, which most likely will be split up between Kaleidoscope, who we always love to follow because that's our LGBTQIA plus youth, and all that money goes towards helping them and counseling and acclimating and family counseling services, beautiful things. So Kaleidoscope is always on the bill. We've got a couple more in there too. Pre-sale early bird pricing for tickets just went on sale the other day. So right now you can get both days and all access, meaning you can go to any of the classes, all the things, you'll see all the entertainment, including the after party on Saturday. You can get both days for $35, which is amazing. Seeing as one of those classes from one of those people is more than that. So don't miss out. Okay, I think I've talked enough about the dark market. I just want you to be as excited as I am. I know it's a ways away, but I want to pack it with so many things that when you go, you're like, I don't even know what to look at, which is going to be fun. Upcoming just class stuff. Tomorrow we have an online class, Working Spells with Najah Lightfoot. I think that starts at 7:30. It's online. You can get tickets for that on the WitchLab website. June 22nd, that's next Wednesday, Melissa Madara, our guest tonight, will be teaching, will be giving a talk on the Witch's Feast, a history of kitchen witchcraft. August 24th, Matt Oren will be joining us on WitchLab Wednesday Live to talk about his new book, Mastering Magic. Our monthly stuff is still going on. Circle of the Dark Market online is still our longest running event discussion group. It's always on the first Sunday, well, usually, most likely, and this July is no exception, first Sunday of the month. And then the WitchLab Book Club, which is what Jean was talking about. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm ignoring all of you. My notes cover up the comments, and so I'm just trying to get through them. But Jean had said that they changed June's book to I Know What I Saw, which, Jean, I saw when you guys posted that, and I looked it up, and it looks fantastic. It's a collection of cryptid sighting stories, and I love that. And I love the title. I know what I saw. It's almost offensive, but I get it because people will doubt you. Okay. So yeah, and the WitchLab Book Club, if you want to join, it's free. And oftentimes authors show up because sometimes they've been on my show and they know the group. And so they'll just kind of show up and sometimes in a fake mustache like Mortellus. Let's see. Tarot Tea Party. Okay, so this is the first time that I have actually announced anything about the Tarot Tea Party that it hasn't been sold out. So this month, next month, July's Tarot Tea Party is not sold out yet. And it's a deep dive into the High Priestess. It will be led by Libby Bruce. Libby Bruce from Tarot by Libby. She is fantastic. She not only knows her stuff, she gives us a bunch of insight, and we get to color the whole time. Like as we're listening and talking, we get to color whatever card we're talking about. So that's fun. It's limited, which is why it's always sold out. But I think there's like 9 seats left. So anybody who wants to go, again, WitchLab website. And this Saturday, June 18th, the monthly meditation, and this is exciting news for this, we'll be doing it. We'll be doing a fully immersive trance meditation led by Scott Rupp, who usually does ours. But this time we are partnering with our neighbor shop, the Spirit of Tifereth. I always say their name wrong. And when I try to listen to them say it, Yafa and Oric, when they're like Tefereth, Spirit of Tefereth. So that's the shop name. And then they have actually opened a new event space called the Perceptive Spirit, which is like a mile and a half from WitchLab. We're going there because it's like the size of a big yoga studio. So we can all lay down and do this trance meditation. I'm very excited. I got like a new like eye weighty thing, and it's going to be great. But it won't be online because I'm going to be meditating too. So I won't be able to facilitate that stuff. But I'm very excited for that. And there's limited seats for that one too. All right. I think that's all of my babble. And I think that we should get our guest out here. Oh, actually, let's before, I'm sorry, Melissa, didn't mean to false start you there, but I just wanted to see if anybody had anything to say about opening stuff. Casey, very grateful. We have power on the southeast side. That's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. This is like what they're saying is it's the hottest time of the year. And this is when they're rolling out outages. I just read this whole AEP article about how they are doing it on purpose to keep it from getting worse later. And I know that there's a lot of people who don't agree with how they're doing it because it seems like only certain neighborhoods are out, which is obviously fucked. And we know that. Christy says it was 98 degrees today and it sucks. Yeah, it would suck losing power. Yeah, the amount of people I know. Oof. Terrible. Virginia Chase, long time no see. We're CBS Power. So the WitchLab, the shop, we are Columbus Power too. Like we're Columbus City Power. So we haven't had a problem there, which is nice. What else? What an amazing lineup, right? I know, like that, and that's just the beginning. Like I said, it's only mid-June. I'm going to continue to get you guys more teachers and things and stuff. Always give a wiggle. I don't know what I did, but I'm sure I wiggled or giggled. I don't know. Dying to go hard, but to get away in October. I don't know what you're talking about, Steve. Saturday should be chill. I don't know if you're talking about our meditation event or what. For those of you who don't know, Stephen Intermill is the director of the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic up in Cleveland. And he's a very good friend of mine. He's the one who taught me how to use this StreamYard thing. Casey, I was wondering what all access included. Yeah, all access means everything. You get to go to all the classes and everything. And then the only difference, the general admission, you still get the entertainment and you can still go to the opening ritual and you can still go to the after party. You just can't go to the classes. All right. That is a killer price. Yes. Thank you. Jean says she'll cook for a ride. Oh, and we might have a guest room for you. There we go. Look at that. WitchLab connecting people. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, we needed a change from recipe witch books. Oh, we're gonna get into this book today, and I know I'm making Melissa wait forever. Okay, I love you guys, and good evening, Richard, and Jason says this is our Lance Cashmere. It read 100 on my truck for a bit today. Ugh, gross. Okay, enough of all that stuff. Let's take a deep breath. My guest tonight is a witch, herbalist, storyteller, and chef. They are co-owner of Catland Books and the editrix of Venefica. I've been working on this word all day, and I've looked up pronunciations, and I have I got 5 different ones. So I'm just going Venefica magazine. Their work deals with the healing power of myth, divination, and immersion in the natural world. They've been featured in big deal publications like the New York Times and Vogue. Their work on kitchen witchcraft has been featured in Vice. Their writing has been published in Venefica magazine, Susie magazine, Fiddler's Green, and their premier book, The Witch's Feast, a kitchen grimoire. Dear watchers, allow me to introduce to you Melissa Madara.
Good evening, everyone. So nice to meet all of you and to be, speaking to everyone tonight. First, I wanted to say the black market sounds incredible.
The dark market, yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
Sounds unbelievable. I wish I lived closer. This sounds like an awesome time. So very jealous.
Yeah, and we were just, our meeting that we had last night, we were discussing big visual things, stuff we're going to build. And I'm just like, ooh, tingly goodness, because I want, that immersion into a magical atmosphere is
For sure, absolutely.
well, you create that sort of thing with Catland Books, I'm sure. Like the whole
Yeah, we've been missing in-person events ever since COVID began. My business partner is immunocompromised, so we're one of the slowest shops in the city to kind of bring in-person stuff back again. But we're in the process of renovating our garden. I don't know. Have you been to Catland? You said you've been a fan for a while, but have you been in?
No, I've not. And it's funny because my daughter went to go visit Brooklyn a year ago, and I was like, you have to go. And I don't think she did, but I haven't been back to the East Coast in a while. I grew up in New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I know I wasn't that far, but yeah, I haven't been there yet. But I've watched your videos.
Sure.
I've watched you walking through the show.
Because we actually just expanded during the pandemic. We were one small shop for about 7 years. And then during the pandemic, the bar next to us folded and we took over that space. So Catland has now tripled in size. We have our event space, we have our books shop, and now we have a massive new wing of the store with an apothecary bar and a bunch of other things. And so we are renovating our garden now to be cohesive across both sides and to have part of it be public access. Folks can just come have their coffee, hang out. I'm the manager for our garden. I'm the one who handles all of our planting and all of our building. So I am in charge of that and eager to, make progress. Once it's open, it's going to be open to the public, which is going to be the best. So very excited to get that ball rolling.
That's amazing. Yeah. To triple the size is so fantastic.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, but very, very exciting. And it's just been amazing to see how much our community is still there post-pandemic. Like a lot of things that I loved about the community kind of went underground for a period of time, but never really disappeared, which is, it's nice to know that it's still there, to be able to see that it's still there, that people are still interested and people are still, coming out to bookstores, which was a big concern or pre-pandemic that, bookstores were going to kind of go the way of like Amazon and everything else. But there's really something about the romance of a bookstore that doesn't ever really go away. You know what I mean?
There's something even more romantic and magical about a witch bookstore.
Right. It's a subject where people kind of need a little help and they need a little guidance. And I find that that's like 90% of our job is just connecting people with good quality information that fits what they're looking for. And sometimes we have to do a little over-the-counter education along the way as we go. I had
all the time.
Oh yeah. Well, so you own a witch shop too, so we had someone come in from the Food Network who wanted to speak to me about working with them on some big projects for Halloween, which sounded like a lot of fun until they asked if I could make a cupcake that would make people levitate. And so there's a lot of over-the-counter education.
Too much Harry Potter.
I was like, that's not a thing. I regret to inform you. I don't know who you think I am or what you think I do.
So I wish Steve has actually been there. He said he went a few weeks ago.
So Stephen, I actually heard you speak a number of years ago at Pam Grossman's conference, the Occult Humanities Conference in the Lower East Side. I think you gave a lecture on opening the museum. And so it's always been on my list ever since. When your name came up initially, I was like, oh yeah, I took a lecture with you. So
that's awesome. He also says that he loved the new double space.
Yeah, double the Catland. Listen, no one's upset about more witchcraft. Some people are more. We post-pandemic, we've noticed a lot more attention and like negative attention from church groups and stuff like that. We had a big hex on Brett Kavanaugh that was heavily protested. They actually bust people up from Texas to protest us.
Wow. Yeah, I got to tell you, that's some good PR though. Like, gets your name everywhere.
Yes, but we started to get calls from the Proud Boys that were like violent and dangerous. And I'm thinking about this in kind of in the context of like, I don't know if you're familiar with the Satanic Temple in Salem. Their house just got burnt down. So there's this like, the occult kind of came into the public eye over the last like 5 years. And now there's this weird backlash happening kind of simultaneously. And I feel like a lot of people are
I don't think it can be avoided because it's the more people who are aware, the more people are going to have a problem.
And there's also this emboldening of the violence on the right over the last few years of politics in this country. So people feel more comfortable to speak out when their opinion is that you should not exist. And
oh my God, that's a perfectly succinct way of putting that. Yeah, it just that's a whole category of hate. People think that for whatever reason you just shouldn't exist.
And we've never really seen that until the last few years, ever. Oh yeah, so Gene, the Satanic Temple in Salem, someone wearing a T-shirt that said, I think just like God on it or something like that, or it might have said like Holy or Jesus, like just a vague Christian shirt, came and put accelerant on their front doorsteps and burned what was a beautiful historical Victorian home, completely destroying the porch. And it's livable, it's fixable, but I
There
don't know
were
if you guys
people
know
in it
this.
when he did it.
There were people inside also at the time.
Do you know his name?
The gentleman who did it? No, I don't.
His name is David Damian Lucy. I swear to God, if that's not a pseudonym for Satan, his last name is Lucy.
Okay, so my cat's names are both Damien and Lucy.
Shut up.
Your cats.
So David Damian Lucy is a guy who evidently has a thing against the Satanic Temple. I'm guessing because of childhood trauma of being called Satan all the damn time. Because that guy's name, I mean, and I read that, I think it's like NPR or something. I'm like, what?
Oh, it's not nice to laugh, but it's Gemini season.
It's
so
hilarious.
you can be a little catty.
Oh, is that what Gemini season allows us to do?
We can be a little cat. I'm a triple Gemini, and my birthday was last week, so I'm in Gemini season. I'm happy to make snarky remarks about people's
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you. It was my 30th, so it was a big one. Excited to enter into my cronehood. Now that
yeah, us 50-year-olds are gonna kick your butts for saying
so every time I do that, I've been going to all my friends who are like 32 and being like, do you have any advice for me? And they're like, I hate you. But thank you. It's been fun. We had a lot of good birthday rituals here. We made a couple of the recipes from the book. So it was a wonderful birthday weekend celebration.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like to take as much time. I'm a Leo, so I get the whole month, I'm pretty sure.
Again, birthday month. Yeah, I've been telling people this. Okay, so there's something special about birthday month. I know we have to talk about the book, but
Oh no, we'll get there. Trust me. When we get bored of each other, I have a list of questions for you.
Good. So in birthday month, I find that the earth like spins to meet my foot. And I know it's not real, but everything I ask for, I get. And everything I'll think about like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I saw like a firefly? I haven't seen one in a couple of years in New York City because now they spray for West Nile and it's killing everything. And I turn the corner and there one is right in the middle of the sidewalk. Or yesterday I had a pipe burst in the apartment above me and water pouring in like it's the rainforest, in my bathroom. And the end result of this is that my super is going to be fully renovating my bathroom exactly the way that I wanted to. I planned to renovate my bathroom this month and just never got around to it. So I bought everything but didn't do it. And if I had done it, it would have been ruined. But now that I haven't, professionals will do it while I sit back and watch.
To your specifications.
Exactly. So birthday magic is real. Birthday month, I don't know what it is. Everything that's happened this month has been good. Let's see if we could stretch this into July a little bit. My Mercury's in Cancer. We can push it.
So your Mercury's in Cancer. So
Yeah.
you are
A Gemini sun, Gemini rising, Libra moon, Mercury's in Cancer, Gemini's in Venus, Mars is in Aries, and the rest is generational. So yeah, it's a lot of air and then some fire and then the weird Mercury in water. But that's my cursed placements. I now that you know that, I almost married someone once who was a Leo sun, Leo rising, Scorpio moon. Now those are cursed placements. Oh, is that you? Are you?
So it's real close. I'm a Leo sun, I'm a Scorpio moon, but I'm a Libra rising, which tends to make it okay.
A little bit. No, the Leo Scorpio was like a little dictator. Like there's just
Yeah, Leo rising on top of Leo sun, I think would make me unbearable. I'm pretty sure.
the Scorpio moon. It was just unhinged. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like look at me, and how wonderful, and all these things, and then bam, stinger.
Yeah,
Oh,
do not perceive me. I am full of secrets, but look at them. But they're secretive.
I know. This is my life.
Communicate. I want to be seen desperately, but I can't communicate.
I have explained this to the watchers before, exactly this. Where it's like half of me is like, look at me. The other half's like, don't look at me. I'm Yeah,
Yeah.
it's horrible. And then my Libra's like, can't we just get along? Like, it's like
Oh,
three
yeah, my
people.
Libra moon is a good any Libra placement is just a blessing. I feel like, I struggle with Taurus that could be a little bit rigid, but I feel like any Venus ruled sign is just a blessing in your chart. Like, it's better than another one you could have gotten. I say as someone with way too much Gemini. Way too much. I don't shut up ever. Inside the brain, it doesn't shut up. Like, it's yeah. Love your Venus ruled placements, everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. Well, okay, so I have some rapid fire questions for you.
Okay,
Little get to know you stuff.
sweet.
All right. Well, so you live in New York now, but where are you from?
I'm from New York originally. I've lived in a couple other places over my life. I've lived in New Orleans. I briefly had an apartment in India, but that's not like living there. But like I have held addresses there, and now I am back in New York. It's really one of the best cities to be a chef in. Believe it or not, New Orleans wasn't great for that. It's a very
Hmm.
hard city to work in, but everything in the food service industry is kind of a challenge. It's a nasty little industry, which I'm grateful to be out of now. Came back for cooking, but ended up staying for to run the shop. So not going anywhere anytime soon.
Okay. All right. So staying there and from there. So originally from Brooklyn too, or
From Queens. Yeah.
okay, okay. All right. What's your favorite color?
Red.
Okay.
Yeah, very
Uh,
bold.
what's that?
I said very bold.
What kind of activities do you enjoy other than your professional stuff? What else do you do? Play lacrosse or
Sure. Having all the Gemini placements means I'm always doing something. I don't really have a lot of like sit down and read a book time. It's always like creative work or intellectual work or one of the 15 different projects that I'm involved in. So besides the professional stuff that we've talked about, I run an Etsy, and that really is more of my creative work. It's a lot of it's like an apothecary shop. So I make incense, I make bath and body care products. I have a little bit of herbal training, so I bring that to what I provide, and then I make, perfumes and artistic stuff. It really feels like my artistic work with plants, my like artistic collaborations with plants, are what kind of gets to happen there. Other than that, what do? I sing in the kitchen a lot.
yay?
Like my non-monetized hobbies are, but really those are few here in the capitalist hellscape that we live in. I do a lot of photography and video work. I sketch and I paint a little bit. I'm just like always doing some kind of creative work. I do some like pottery. I went to one of my minors in college when I went was pottery, so I do a little bit of that.
Nice.
And I travel quite a bit. My family was very big in travel growing up. My mom worked for JetBlue Airways, and so through her, we actually have benefits where we can fly anywhere for free, and we have these benefits till we die. So
Wow.
thank you, Mom. Yeah, she retired with them, so this is the benefit. And so I spent a lot of time, traveling around, and like because it's not expensive for me to do so. This. People don't get into witchcraft for the money. Uh, that would be an insane thing to do. I say this all the time with Will Kiesel, who runs Ouroboros Press. Every time we get together, I'm like, well, we didn't get into occult books publishing for the money.
Right, right. I'm not buying a boat with this.
No, no. This doesn't fund a gambling habit or nothing. It's
Oh my God. Yeah, right.
lifestyle. There's no high rollers in witchcraft.
You're not funneling this into a high money
No, we
drug
live within
habit or
our means. And but having the benefits through my mom enables me to travel, and I do a bunch of like teaching at different witch shops around, and it's just something that I love to do. And hopefully, once international restrictions are lifted and things are feeling more safe in Europe, my family owns a house in Croatia, and I'm in the process of seeking citizenship, so I'll probably be going back there soon and trying to do some work over there.
God, you're so worldly.
It's that Gemini placement. I just can't stop going. I just can't sit down.
It, though. I love that.
I'm very tired.
Well, you are 30 now, so
Yeah, my back hurts.
you making that noise when you get up?
Oh yeah, pops and creaks now.
And just to go back to the chef world real quick, Jason says the height of my drinking was working kitchens, which
Oh my God, don't
for
speak to me of
kitchens.
the dark days. Yes. So I actually have one of my good friends is out in Kansas City. He was a bartender at a restaurant where I was a pastry chef. And I was remarking with him recently that, like, I don't know how we got out of that in one piece, the amount of drinking that we used to do. He would come bring me cocktails down to pastry and I'd feed him gelato with a spoon. And so that's the start of something beautiful.
That
So,
is beautiful.
yeah. But definitely a reciprocal relationship between pastry and the bar. Oh, yeah. I don't miss kitchen work at all. Everyone is underpaid and overworked. It's a very exploitative industry. Needs an overhaul, sincerely.
And we are seeing that now. The fact that every restaurant in town here in Columbus for sure has like staffing issues. They have to, they're shutting down for the amount of times that they're open because they just can't fill their spaces.
No one
And
wants to be abused anymore. What a shocker.
I mean, the
$14 an hour for abuse. Oh, go ahead.
the sad part is it went on for so long. Like I mean, for as long as I grew up with my grandmother was a waitress, my mom was a waitress. And so it's always been this sort of grueling, horrible, like counting out your tips out of your pocket at the end of the night and seeing how well you did because of how good your personality could be and stuff like this, which for some people is great, but it's also, you have exhausted days and those days will fuck with your bottom line.
And it used to be that you could do that and at least make a living. You know what I mean? And I think that one of the reasons that everything in the food service industry is seeing, these shortages of staff right now is because it's impossible to make a living on kitchen wages anymore. I'm sure it's here in New York. I'm sure it's there where you are. Like what a waitress used to be able to make. I remember living quite comfortably off of that. Not quite comfortably, but like I wasn't afraid of rent, and I could put bread in my mouth. And you just simply can't do that on a waitress's wages anymore. Or working in the kitchen. As executive pastry chef in Midtown Manhattan, I was making $14 an hour. So yeah, and people below me were making much less. So it's
Wow.
abominable and that was to receive burns and cuts all day long, to be lifting 50-pound sacks of flour. It's abominable what this industry has put up with or allowed to go on for so long. And who was it? Anthony Bourdain sounded the alarm on this 2 decades ago. He wrote a big op-ed in I think it was the New York Times or Gothamist or something, where he kind of called out the restaurant industry and said it's unsustainable. And here we are seeing the grapes of that wrath. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are not willing to be abused for $14 an hour anymore. And who could blame them?
No, it's hard because especially now, $14 an hour is really hard to live on.
Exactly. And the wages haven't increased. And this is all industries. This is not just, kitchen stuff, but in most industries, wages haven't increased significantly in a long period of time. Whereas the cost of living, at least, especially in the last 5 years with COVID and everything, like driving costs up, it's getting harder and harder just to buy milk, now we're milking oats and stuff
Yeah. And we're not even going to get started on the whole gas thing because that's, yep. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. Okay. Back to questions. All right. And so you're a big traveler. What's a place you'd like to visit that you haven't been yet?
Oh, I keep thinking about a lot of my research is mostly into ancient Greece and ancient Egypt. That's a lot of the sort of religious work that I do and a lot of the research that I do. You'll find that there's a lot of that within the book and a lot of that ideology within the book. So to go to those places, to be able to see, Hecate's temples at Legina or the oracles at Delphi, or to go to Egypt has always been very, very high on the list. Definitely up there. If I could go anywhere right now, that's where it would be.
I was watching, I don't know if you're a Kenneth Branagh fan or an Agatha Christie fan or anything like that, but I was watching Death on the Nile with Kenneth Branagh as Poirot. Hercule Poirot, which I love Kenneth Branagh. I didn't even know he did this because I clearly have had my head in the sand. So I watched this, and while I'm watching, I'm like, I want to go to Egypt. Like when they get to that big temple, I'm just like, oh, I want to go there.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I've been studying perfume lately, and so I've been really interested in in recreating the perfume fragrances of ancient Egypt, because that was like the perfume epicenter of the ancient world. And I've been playing with a couple of things. I've been buying laudanum and blue lotuses and just making my little extracts at home. And it's a completely different fragrance palette than we're used to here in the modern world. And it's just been fun to kind of time travel with that over the last few weeks.
Are you a Mandy Aftel fan?
I don't know who that is.
She's a perfumer.
Ah,
She's won Indie Perfumer of the Year a couple of times. She she's a fascinating woman. She used to write biographies of like rock stars. She's a psychiatrist and an author, and so she I forget what she wrote, but then she went on to become a perfumer after that. That was her next step. I'm trying to think if I have her book. Her book, Essences and Alchemy, was what pushed me into doing perfume.
wow. Oh,
And I
that's wonderful.
found the original book that a lot of her stuff comes from. It's like it's 1846. It's like The Art of Perfuming by Eugene somebody, but it
Okay.
has a lot of her content in it and like the original illustrations and stuff.
Wow.
I am very much into what you're talking about with
Okay.
perfuming and stuff.
Yeah.
WitchLab actually started as a perfumery. That's like my
Oh,
background.
I didn't know that. That's wild.
Most people don't because I barely make perfume anymore. So.
But it's such a fun science. And the more I
Yeah.
learn about like how it works and how the human brain is organized to process scent, the wilder it becomes. Like I feel like, and I feel like that's with most things. I get into them for sort of the metaphysical and the spiritual aspects that are exciting and the sensory engagement. And then the more you look closely into the cracks, you realize that it's so much more magical than you thought that it was. And there's so much more to, this is the problem with being a nerd, is you never really can go deep enough into one subject. You're hungry for more all the time. And so yeah, right now I'm on my kick of resurrecting historical fragrances. I bought a bunch of civet paste. I regret that purchase, but I have it, and so now I can smell it whenever I want to, which is never. Um, but I have it.
But what it does to perfume is actually amazing.
Yeah.
I have had civet. I've worked with civet before, and for those of you who don't know, civet is a sort of a fox-looking cat situation, and they take something from they have like a sex pocket that they kind of take the stuff out of. They don't kill them for it, but they do keep them in really inhumane places in order to farm this stuff. And so it was outlawed in the 90s or 70s. It was outlawed a while ago. I'm trying to think of what I think it's like I don't remember what year it was. Anyway, but Coco Chanel used to use it, and it's actually in Chanel No. 5, the original. And
Wow.
so I actually have a couple of bottles of that pre-stuff that I've gotten because it's not the same. It's actually pretty
Yeah, it
incredible.
is such an incredible ingredient, and the reason I got it was because there's a gentleman who runs an Etsy shop called Apothecary's Garden. He's pretty. If you're into perfume stuff, you probably heard of him.
I've
And
not, but I'm getting my pad of paper right now so I can write it down.
I got into him because I started during the pandemic buying a lot of incense resin from him, like high quality green Hajari frankincense and laudanum resin and other stuff. I got really into incense during the pandemic. I had nothing to do. I just started making incense. And he had civet paste for sale. He works with farmers to make it sustainably, to make it in a harm-free way. And buying it, it's a little bit more expensive, but it supports the work that he does with those farmers.
What's his Etsy handle again?
It's called Apothecary's Garden, and he makes some very high quality stuff. And he sells both raw materials and like extracts that he's made. And I just really love his work. So if you need, African cat goop, he's got you covered. And it is the stinkiest African cat goop. He also has real ambergris, which
Wow.
is not good smelling either.
No, it's vomit.
It smells like whale vomit.
It is whale vomit.
Yeah, I smelled it and I was like, why did I expect it to be different?
So Mandy Aftel, she lives in San Francisco, and she actually has opened the Museum of Scents, and you can go there and you can smell all of these ancient things. She's been collecting them forever. It's fantastic. I've never been, but the pictures and just the way she has it laid out, I'm such a fan of this woman. That's you should
I'll try to take that name down. That sounds really cool.
Mandy Aftel, which is funny because like the whole Aftelier was like the laboratory, right, for perfume making. Yeah, she just kind of fits. It's crazy. Okay. But yeah, so I definitely have used civet in things because I've found it in terrible ways, but I didn't do it myself, but it's used as a hunting scent. I've actually found it on hunting websites before.
Yeah. I can see that. Very animalistic. That's
Yeah.
when we were in kitchens and we would have to describe a wine that smells like that. That's the word, animalistic.
Yeah. Have you tried that beaver stuff or
Yeah.
the African stone?
It's not good.
It's elephant poop. It's really
And yeah, that's what it smells like. Yeah. But all of these funky scents, they're useful in perfumery. I was experimenting with jasmine recently and
Mhm.
looking at how the molecular structure is very close to the molecular structure of a lot of fetid scents, like shit, like rotting bodies, like all of that kind of stuff.
Right,
Um,
right. Because it
and
has that, what is it, scatol and uh,
indole, I think it is.
indole? Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Um, yeah, and so like molecularly, your brain smells them and similar things happen. Even though jasmine, we have a very different reaction when we're near that scent, than others. When I lived in New Orleans, there were these like walls of jasmine everywhere, and I would just like lie down on the sidewalk in front of them like a crazy person. But coming from New York, I didn't grow up with that, so it was just narcotic. The fragrance when I was down there.
That's a
But
good
yeah,
description for jasmine. It is like, it's just like a,
narcotic fragrances, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah,
hmm
it's one of those ones that gets me hard. I mean,
We had a situation at the shop recently where there was, it's New York City. We live in Brooklyn. We share life on Earth with rats here. We live very closely with them in a way that other cities do not. And one died in our space. And we were
oh,
waiting for the man to come and get it because none of us are going to do that. Like it was in the wall, like we needed help. And but the smell was around. And it occurred to me, I was like, oh, well, the smell of this and the smell of jasmine are very close. I wonder if I burn some jasmine incense, will that mask it? No, it turned the volume up. But I was like, oh, now I know.
hey, we don't know if we don't experiment,
Work.
right?
Okay. My employees were like, I was just like, okay, so that's how that.
It's so much worse.
Yeah, this is just me as the Gemini mad scientist being like, okay, data received. I
Hey, you don't know if you don't try.
Worth it.
Let's see. I just wanted to look back here. What we were talking about before a little bit. Christy says Michelle Belanger makes an amazing, authentic Kaifi incense. And Michelle Belanger, she's a medium from Ohio.
Oh, is she from Ohio? We carry her book, Dictionary of Demons, at the shop.
Yeah. She's from Oberlin. She actually, for those of you who like to stay in haunted places, like I do, she has a haunted Airbnb up in Oberlin.
Bless her. Love that.
Yeah, right. But speaking of Kaifi incense, we actually have Kaifi. And it's strange that I actually have some with me. Magical Materials is one of our suppliers, and she makes a Hecate and an Isis Kaifi specifically, and they are fantastic.
Ooh, I'm going to be doing a traditional Kaifi like trial later this year. I got a bunch of grapes from the forest this last year that I've dried, and so now we're going to be moving into part 2, the soaking and everything, and the fermentation, and then I do all of my incense. I wonder if I have an example for you guys. I do everything very traditional in the hand rolled, like the pearl style.
Yeah, that's what these are in this little bag. Yeah, they're all pearls. Yeah.
And now I can see, yeah, and that is really such a superior way to burn incense, and it cures in a superior way, I find.
She actually hands out, so these are like little baggies of aluminum foil that you can put on your charcoal so that you don't just burn it, then it just heats it and cooks it and doesn't just soot it, right?
That's a brilliant idea. Yeah. Because I've noticed that when you do plonk it right on the charcoal, it can be a little much, even in the pearl state. But I tend to, when I'm done with making the pearls, I roll them in extra resin just because I know it's going to plonk on the charcoal. And I'm like, I want it to melt a little bit before I do that. But
yeah, get that little base going.
Yeah. Yeah, fragrance is fascinating, and natural fragrance in particular is even more so. Think about it all the time. It's just been my obsession for these last few years, and so now it's like every time I walk to the woods, I'm thinking about what I'm smelling and which plant that is, and like trying to figure out where it's coming from. I'm engaging. Every time I learn something else about the natural world, it feels like I'm seeing in 4D for the first time.
It's a whole new level of understanding every time.
Like now it's like 7D. I feel like now that I'm into the fragrance, it's a whole new level that wasn't even there before. First, it was all the plant identification, then it was all the medicinals, and then the wild foraging, and now it's the fragrance. And I just, I was out in Kansas City with one of my friends, and we were driving down the highway, and he was just like, I'm sorry, I'm not being talkative. Are you bored? And in my head, I was like, no. If I'm in a car, I'm looking out the side of the road at the plants, trying to identify them. Like, I'm with that world way more than I'm here.
As long as you're not driving, right? Like, you're not driving.
I don't have a license. I'm a native New Yorker.
So you're a New Yorker who doesn't drive.
I'm a native New Yorker. I took driver's ed in high school. I nearly killed 3 people. Not eager to try again. I'm not a good driver. Um, I know myself. But if I do leave the city, which I will want to eventually, I'm going to have to learn how to be on the road. So watch out, everybody. It's not good. I should not be driving.
We'll put out a warning.
Yeah,
Melissa Madara is traveling this month.
everyone, like put a little fold out in my books. Be like, this driver might be on the road in your area. Watch out.
Jean Linder says we need a WitchLab house scent, which I agree. So I would always make like a perfume line, and then I would not make that again. So like I'd make these things, and I'm like, okay, well that was then, and now I want to make new stuff, and so I will. You're right, I should. And the thing is, that's something I do for friends. From like, oh, it's their birthday, and I don't have anything for them. I'll make them a signature scent. I'll just think about them, and I'll pull from all my stuff, and make a thing.
The Witch's Feast has a perfume that goes with it. My book has.
I saw that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my friend Arena at Phoenix Botanicals was interested in crafting this with me, and we wanted to use only culinary scents, which is hard.
That is tough.
And so she did something crazy, and I think you'll particularly enjoy this. She got a loaf of bread from like a nice bakery in our area, and she made a bread accord with it. And she mixed this with oat tincture and an apple accord and mint and mugwort and bay leaves. And so it's all culinary fragrances, right, but it's like nice burnt bread undernote, and then a little bit of fruit and a lot of botanicals up top. It's really interesting. And so it like you smell it and you're like, these are food flavors, but it works as a perfume.
I love it.
It's really interesting stuff that she did. Arena's like a mad scientist, just really incredible work.
What you were talking about earlier about how, the early perfume stuff was very occult based. I mean, the alchemists were the first perfumers, right? They were the ones, and they were also magic users. They were occult followers. I mean, that had to be hush hush, but that's what they did also, along with the, looking at the stars and doing chemistry and doing all of these things. They were the person you went to for the sense that you needed, which I thought was really cool. I didn't realize that at the time. And I think that.
And even in like the very ancient societies, like Mesopotamia, where they had like specialized perfumer classes, I wouldn't say that magic was hush hush. Magic was just a part of like your life. So if you're doing perfume, of course you're doing occult perfume because there's no division. Like, of course you're making perfume for the temples, and of course you're making incense for the temple. You know what I mean? Like, it's
because there was no division from occult from regular life. That's just what it was.
Only the life, which is the spiritual life, which is the life on earth. Yeah. I think about that a lot. And I feel like to kind of like bring it back, I feel like kitchen witchcraft is like a really nice example of that. You know what I mean? The magic and the mundane, and sort of like the blurring of the two,
the weaving together, and the bringing the magic into the mundane is so lovely.
Yeah.
Like, and in such a way that you can share it with people.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like so much of magic lives in the tactile and in like the sensory experience. I think I was in a lecture with Dan Schulke a couple of years ago where he says the sensorium is the medium for magic. Like the 5 senses and the experience of them and the experience of the psychic senses is what makes up the stuff of magic. Everything else, the candles, the objects, this is sort of just stuff that we're manipulating, whereas the sensorium is the media of magic. It's what carries it through. And so any of these sensory-based art forms like cooking, like perfumery, like incense work, it's naturally going to be subsumed within the occult mechanism, I think.
Absolutely. The tools that we have, I think, heighten those things. When we light incense, when we light candles, when we do those things, that heightens our the what did you call it, sensoria.
It's Dan Schulke's word. He's got very flowery language, that guy. We love it.
That.
What was that?
I think it fuels that. I think that the tools make that easier for us to feel, to achieve, to get to.
Purpose. Absolutely. They have a role. It's not that the wax of the candle itself is special in any way, but when the witch picks it up, it is. You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
Yeah. And none of this stuff is magical in any way until it gets picked up by someone who intends to use it in, for something geared toward a higher purpose, for lack of a better term.
Right. With an intention.
Yeah.
With with a whole reason, possibly even a whole
Whole
agenda.
reason. Oh, an agenda. The Gemini, we don't have those. We just have
What?
we have barreling headlong towards the goal and hoping something works out. No, that's an Aries. I'm sorry, that's an Aries. But there's not a forethought with us.
But that's beautiful though, because you're in the moment. You're in the moment,
Oh, we're
100%.
so in the moment. We're too in the moment. No, that's an Aquarius.
Oh my
Sorry, I'm
God.
writing all the
That's
signs.
actually really good. That was so apt. You're like, no, that's Aries. That was pretty good. Aquarius. Oh my God, that's really good.
Oh my God. Oh man. I've been thinking a lot about the signs. A lot of people have been working through the zodiac recipes in the book. This month there's actually someone in New Orleans who's working through every single zodiac feast in my book in the month of June. So I've been thinking a lot about those because I was talking to my friend Danny, who runs Curio Esoterica on Instagram, and I was talking about how a lot of like correspondences for magical materia like plants and whatever and stones and this and that aligning with like the cardinal planets, let's say just the Chaldean seven, right? Sun, moon, and then up to Saturn. Rarely until we get into the modern world do we start seeing that associated with food and flavors. We see it a little bit in the Middle Ages, like in Islamic astronomy or astrology, but like that's pretty new. And so a lot of what I had to do for the book had to be like extrapolations on stuff that currently exists and kind of just like using poesis to kind of fill the gaps and figure out like how might Taurus taste, that would differentiate it from Libra, another Venus ruled sign. So it was a lot of experimentation and a lot of like testing this on friends and being like, does this taste like Jupiter? And
What did
I'm
you
still
think?
kind of
Vast. Does this smell? Does it taste vast to you?
yeah. And so I'm just like, does this taste like Mars? Like, I don't know. And so it's been a lot of that. But it's been so fun. And that is like a lot of my sensory work right now is just trying to use like the non-linear mind of sensing and feeling as opposed to thinking and rationalizing to kind of come up with the new praxis of kitchen witchcraft. Because, like the books that your friend mentioned in the chat, like we do need better kitchen witchcraft books for sure. I'm sure you've read many of them. Everyone in the chat has read many of them, and I wrote my book because I didn't like them because I wanted a little bit more than
the change, right?
What was that?
Be the change that you want to see.
I wanted a little bit more than stir your two Widdershins or put cinnamon in your coffee for love. I was like, no, there's definitely more here. There's more guts to this that are not being explored. And so I'm totally rambling. I'm so sorry. I'm like off on a tangent. But but yeah, so that's what we were trying to do with the book. And a lot of it is this sort of like sensing and feeling as opposed to like rationally thinking. But it's
when I got to sit down, so last week, I want to apologize that I had to cancel last week. Last week was very messy for me. I had planned on spending my entire last Wednesday getting ready for your show. And wrenches were thrown from all directions.
No.
So, it's one of those things where like the day gets away from you, all kinds of things happen. Yeah. And halfway through the day, your book showed up like in the mail. And I was just like, well, I can either cram a whole day's worth of getting ready for this show into 2 hours, or I can put it off because, one of the things we're here to do is promote the class next week.
Oh, sure. Right? Yeah.
Which we will get to, I promise. But I was like, man, I don't have a show next week. So this week. And so I was able to push it. And thank you so much for letting me do that because it allowed me to read your whole book, which I would not have gotten to do if we talked last week.
And what do you think?
I love it. Okay. Folks who are watching, let me tell you about this book. First off, it's a hardcover. It is a gorgeous book. It feels amazing. It looks incredible inside. And it literally made me so hungry while reading it. Because I'm just like, oh my God, it's like these meats flavored with these, things. And I'm just like, because I love all food. I love all food. I am I am not a picky eater. I'm one of those people that will try literally anything. And I have my weird ass favorites that I love so much. But the recipes for zodiac signs specifically really warmed my heart. They made so much sense
to those. I really thought about it, and I feel like I'm the most proud of a couple of them, but I feel like every single one hit the nail in some way. You know,
Sagittarius is one of my favorites just because it sounds fucking amazing. But the
well, Leo
Leo
is
one,
good too. Leo is
Leo's,
it's a nasturtium salad, or no, it's a
yep.
salad with a nasturtium vinaigrette. Is it
Yeah,
something like
it's a salad with a nasturtium vinaigrette.
and
And
then champagne, melon, and basil popsicles. Those popsicles were probably one of the best things that we made for the book photo shoot. And the picture of them is so nice. We let them melt a little bit. They look really good.
so you made all of the food that's in all of these pictures?
Oh, it's not me. It's so
Okay.
Frances Denny is the photographer who's on this project. She just put out the book Major Arcana. I don't know if you saw it. It was like interview with a bunch of different witches and occultists and portrait series. It's a beautiful book. And
Oh,
I
that's neat.
was
Do you know who
one
the
of the
publisher is?
no.
Who's
But
the
I know it's
publisher?
called Major Arcana, and the woman's name is Frances Denny. And so I
Okay.
was one of the people who's featured in that book. I'm actually in the book. And she did a showing of the portraits up at the Peabody Museum in Salem. And so my portrait was hanging in the Peabody for a few months.
Yay.
And so that's how we met. And then when I got this project, I asked her if she wanted to come along with for the photography. And she is actually a food photographer on the side for her husband's business. So it worked out perfectly. So yeah, her work really, you know, the story of the photo shoot for the book. I mean, you've got the pictures in front of you, so you can really see the proof of the work. Like we put a lot into
These are
every shot.
incredible.
There's 100 recipes in the book. I think we shot 60 of them. And it was during lockdown. So we had to, I rented an Airbnb in like Williamsburg, Brooklyn, where I could camp out for the week. And I brought all my cooking equipment, I brought all my ingredients, and I would cook from 5 a.m. till 1 o'clock in the morning every day for straight days. And at 9 a.m., the photography team would come and we would just take pictures until 5 p.m. And then I would cook all night and then crash.
So
So
you prepared the food and they took the pictures.
we did this all in 6 days.
It's so fantastic. Just people, Feast of Scorpio is pork loin with pickled mustard seeds and blood orange sorbet with what is Fernet Branca? I don't even know what that is.
Come on, you know what Fernet Branca is. Fernet, okay, my
You think
Scorpio.
I'm way classier than I am. I do not know what
So
that
Fernet
is.
Branca is an Amaro. It's an Italian Amaro. It's like a botanical liqueur.
Mm.
Uh, in the same vein is something like Jägermeister, but that's like disgusting. And very, very minty, and like I will only drink it if I'm already very drunk. That's my story with Jägermeister. So Amaros are a little bit more
Good to
balanced.
know.
They tend toward the sweet side, and they're very, very botanical in that same way. And so Fernet Branca is just a very, very famous one. I think their logo is usually someone like walking an alligator, like a fancy woman walking an alligator on a lake.
Oh, that sounds familiar to me.
So any Italian Amaro will do, but just like a bitter herbal liqueur over blood orange sorbet. That's a Scorpio dessert. It's refined. It's extremely simple and unfussy, but feels very
And
fancy.
yet complicated at the same damn time.
That's a Scorpio.
So good. That's what I'm saying. When I was reading through these, they all kind of were like, oh, I see that. Oh, yeah, this makes sense to me. Feast of Capricorn, sausage and plum hunter stew with blackberry meringue. I'm going to show you guys this.
Yeah. So it's like
Oh, my God.
Yeah, a Polish bigos is traditionally with black plums. So it's basically just a traditional hunter stew. It's just got a little bit more protein added. And then, yeah, the blackberry meringues, all traditional, palettes of Saturn and flavors of Saturn. And it wouldn't be a Saturn dish if there weren't meat in it. Recently, I was on the Between the Realms or Between the Worlds podcast. And they were asking me, so they're based out in California. And so it's a natural question, very few of these recipes do not have meat, or I think only like a dozen of them do have meat where you can't take it out and there's no substitute given. And that's a dozen out of 100. So that's actually, a good amount. But I went to a vegetarian culinary school. And so or like a vegan culinary school.
What?
So I have training in taking every recipe and being able to veganize it or like make it for a specific diet, take gluten out to whatever. And so to me, all of these recipes are things that you can break them apart and you can replace anything with anything. Like they're meant to be modular in that way, where like if you just know a little bit about cooking and you want to make a substitution, you can. I actually have people DM me about this on Instagram constantly. They're like, yeah, I saw that this one has sausage. Can I replace it? I was like, you can do whatever you want. I'm not in your house. Like,
no, you're not allowed to do any replacements. None. It's exactly the way it is.
It's not like you're gonna like do the recipe wrong and the book's gonna shut and never open again.
Walking out the door. Get him out of here.
What do we want? I'm like,
You
please.
disrespected my meats.
I was a vegetarian for years. I'm only not now because I'm anemic, and if I don't eat meat, I'll die. And also the publisher wanted a book that was a little bit more accessible. You will notice that there's no seafood.
Real quick, I want to say goodbye to Betty Ann. She's leaving real quick, and she's watching us from Arizona today because she's traveling. And thank you for coming in. And I'm sorry that I didn't get to see you when you first got here when you said you've missed so much, but you can always watch it later. I promise it'll always be there for you. And I just want you to know I love you. And when you do watch it later, even if you're not seeing this now, I hope your mom's okay. And yeah, go on. Sorry.
I remember what I was saying actually.
Oh, good. You have ADHD too, right?
But we've been bouncing around so much tonight, which is great. But yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying the book. I'm glad the Zodiac chapter seems to be the one that everyone's really excited about.
For some reason, it's the part that when I was reading it that I was like watering. I'm just like, all of these things. Fig, prosciutto, flatbread thing. Oh, I want that.
It's very Mediterranean flavor profile in the whole book. I'm Croatian, so it's going to be a Mediterranean flavor profile in the whole thing. But there's a lot of weird stuff too. There's elderberry patafui for Feast of Pisces. Like there's a lot. There's a lot from my like traditional French pastry days. So like that's one of the harder recipes in the book. But then there's also stuff that's like lavender butter, which is just you take lavender butter and you mix it together. Like it's not, but it feels very fancy. But it's not. But yeah, it was just a joy. And that chapter in particular. So the rest of the chapters have mostly good historical precedents. You know, the first chapter is the Feast of the Ancestors, and that's all historical recipes. So it's stuff from ancient Greece. It's, you know, all these traditional feasts. Chapter 2 is planetary. Oh no, chapter 2 is astrology. Chapter 3 is planetary magic. So there's lots of historical precedents for planetary magic. And we can look at, you know, simple correspondence systems and figure out what that could mean from there. And I talk about consecration and this and that. Fourth chapter is Feast of the Earth. So it's a 4-course feast for each of the solstices and equinoxes. Again, historical precedents. We're just eating seasonally. That's how we're making these menus. And then the final chapter is spell work. So the astrology chapter is the one where like there is no historical precedence for foods associated with the different signs. So it's a hodgepodge of correlations between planets and ingredients and planets and flavors. And then medical astrology, looking at which parts of the body different zodiac signs ruled in iatromathematics. And then just me being poetic about it and thinking about magic in terms of Brian Cotnoir's concept of the poetry of matter. That's how he describes alchemy, and but I feel like that's magic at large. And so thinking about food and magic as the poetry of matter, and just trying to make it all taste good in addition to making sense. That's where like the art of witchcraft really kind of comes into it. It's nice to like pick plants that are all under a certain designation, but making them taste good is a different story.
Same with perfume. Making them smell good is a different story.
Oh yeah.
When I was working on, because we sell a line of planetary perfumes that I created years ago, and making them was exactly what you're talking about. A lot of different, like pulling them in from different places and seeing who did what and what they thought about it, and then listening to myself and what I felt about those planets, and you know, and then making it smell good on top of it is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But I found it, but I loved it. I loved that journey, and I still am proud of all of those perfumes. Like think.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like witchcraft kind of operates through the creative channel. You know what I mean? Like they are very much the same receptors for that stuff within the body. Like when I'm doing my creative work, when I'm doing my witchcraft work, it's the same parts of the brain lighting up. It's the same aspect, right? The fire, the soulful aspect.
And it's the same reward too.
Yes, absolutely. Totally.
Casey has a question. Do you have any personal favorite recipes or something you might gravitate to if you've had a stressful day and not too much time to spend cooking?
So those are going to have different answers because my
there's a slash there. You can give us both.
Yeah, needlessly complicated are my favorite recipes. If we're talking about ones from the book, um, there's so many within the Feast of the Earth that are great. There is a rose petal panzanella for Feast of the Summer Solstice, which comes with like burrata on top, and that also comes with like a sweet corn risotto that has like an olive misto with like roasted tomatoes on top. That one's nice. Uh,
See, do you see what she does to you? Are you all watering right now? Because literally, that's what it's like reading the book. You're like, oh God,
yeah.
oh, I want that.
There's a pear tart tatin with a red wine caramel that's banging. There is it was the most fun to put together. Oh, you know what's one of the tastiest things besides the Leo popsicles? There's a beet and grapefruit cake in the final chapter, and it's associated with Jupiter, and it's basically just meant to be like a big celebration cake. It's one of the best things I've ever made. It's so good.
Beets are one of my favorite foods. I love them so much.
And they do such nice things with chocolate. It's really wonderful. I'm trying to think what else is like really, really good. Oh, I had a lot of fun putting together the Master of the Woods cake. Probably won't ever make it
I
again.
just opened to it.
Yes.
It's got mushrooms on it.
Yes.
Look at that.
It's meant to look like a forest floor. It's
Oh,
thinking
it's
about
fantastic.
food as effigy of the divine. So I am creating an edible iconography for a spirit that I work with, which is the spirit of the witch's devil, or the idea of like the devil as non-human nature, a feral nature of the anti-human, you know, kind of like what Gemma Gary talks a little bit about when she says devil in her work. So this is the devil in iconography as cake. And so this is a ritual object.
I love this.
Cake. This is an idol of the devil made in cake. If we were to deliver this to the forest and leave it there, it would exist as an idol of the devil in cake to be eaten by raccoons and stuff, which would be perfect.
God damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's made with devil flavors like elderberry and blackberry, and you know they got the meringue mushrooms on the sides, and it's a fun one. I had a lot of fun with that, and almost for me, the theory behind it is more exciting than like devil cake, you know, but both are really cool. I hope that reads in the book. I hope that like I get people excited about the food, but I also get people excited about the nerdy research because I love the nerdy research.
I think that most, for me, like when I was just reading through it, like I said, the titles would immediately get my mouth going. I'm just like, oh, okay. I like literally after I read through it, the first time when I was flipping through, I got about halfway through it. I literally had to put it down and go eat because I was like, I need to go eat right now. And luckily, I happen to have. So my daughter for Mother's Day, she had gotten me Boursin cheese and beets. Nice. Because I love Boursin cheese and I love beets, and on a sandwich together with some sprouts, it's like my favorite thing.
Gorgeous. I love that.
And so I was like, I have this thing that makes me feel slightly gourmet-ish, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, listen, preparing beets is not like I'll just put them in the oven. It's like an hour-long process.
Oh, these were pickled beets. These were out of the jar, and I don't care. I'm not picky about my beets.
That's what turns me off to beets. I'm like, this is a half a day commitment. It's really not that long, but like, I'm always like, but yeah, no, they're delicious and they really go with so many things.
And they're on the Leo list, which I noticed, which I was really surprised about, but I guess that I shouldn't be. They're red and round and, you know, like.
And very generous with their color. And yeah, very
fiery.
Leo is not ruled by Jupiter, but could be. It's ruled by the sun, but I feel like if it's a secondary planet ruler, because of the expansiveness and because of the, for lack of a better term, like ostentatiousness of Leo, like that, I feel like there's a secondary planetary ruler there.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, and so beets are a Jupiter vegetable, but I feel like they work nicely with Leo in this way.
They're very showy.
Very showy, very showy, and with the big green top, the crown that comes out of the vegetable. Like, yeah, it's
gorgeous.
Yeah, it's definitely like not a sun type vegetable, very Jupiter, but I don't know. They work for Leo, I think, in some way.
I think so. I had never heard that, and when I saw it, I was like, that makes sense to me, and it makes me feel for some reason like it makes sense because I personally fucking love beets.
Yeah, you know, so a lot of this stuff, again, it's not traditional. You're not going to be able to go to a grimoire somewhere, you know, from the 1500s and go, beets are from Jupiter. But based on what we know about what Jupiter...
The carrots are from Mars. Sorry.
Carrots are from Mars. Yeah, there you go. It's here. Agrippa said it. It's in the book.
Agrippa said it.
Oh my God. So Agrippa didn't, nobody said it. There was very, very little information on that subject to pull from. Looking at what Jupiter rules and looking at other Jupiter ruled vegetables, and even like Nicholas Culpeper kind of gives us like attitudes of Jupiter plants where he'll be like, Jupiter plants have broad leaves and thick juicy stems and they grow upwards, and that's really helpful in identifying, if something strange could be a Jupiter plant. When we look at that stuff, beets kind of fit the bill. And you'll see that like some things go between the categories, and that's because everything defies perfect linear categorization. That's not how reality works.
It's art.
Yeah. And it's also like planetary designations are meant to have some fluidity between them,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so Jean has a question. Jean has two questions. One, if you feel comfortable sharing, what are your favorite ways to prepare sacred space for your food magic / kitchen witchery?
Ooh, I have an annoying answer. That's an annoying answer. And the answer is I don't. Because there is no difference between a mundane kitchen and a kitchen witch's kitchen. The difference is that a witch is standing there. And I gave this quote
so you don't call the quarters before you start boiling water.
No, absolutely not. Well, I don't do that in my magic anyway. I'm not a Wiccan, so I don't. I'm not a quarter caller. But there's very little that I do besides invocational work to like kick off, my rituals, and that's really just to let everyone know, like, we're starting. Open the doors, like that's when I think of so in my practice, all space is sacred space. There is no division between the spiritual and the mundane, because I study a lot of stuff that comes from ancient Greece and Egypt, and that's the worldview within those societies, is that it's
always here. It's what we do. It's just part of us.
All I need to do is call on it and it will come to meet me, and then but there is this idea of a veil between the worlds. It doesn't exist in the ancient world. There's just the world, and parts of it are visible and parts of it are not. And that's it. But all parts can be felt and interacted with. So I gave the quote to Frances Denny for the Peabody Museum, where I was like, when you do kitchen witchcraft, you really surrender the idea of the mundane. You really everything becomes spiritual. Even the most mundane parts of your life become spiritual. Like the salt shaker becomes a spiritual tool. The sponge and the washing of the kitchen area becomes a spiritual process. Like there is no necessary differentiation that we need to do to set that apart as a specifically holy or specifically sacred space. And when we look at ancient societies, like the hearth was the spiritual center of the home, and it was also that way for making bread, and it was also that way for cooking family meals. Like it was that by virtue of the fact that it produced life-giving food. Not by virtue of the fact that it was set apart in like a priestly way or set apart in like a churchy kind of way. Right. My answer is that I don't do anything like that. It's the fact that I, a witch, am standing there is what makes it a magical kitchen.
Well, Jean and I both absolutely love that answer.
Cool. Awesome.
That is fantastic.
It's an annoying answer because it's kind of backhanded. But like not backhanded, but like the answer is we don't.
It's honest. I mean, it's so when I do the little bit of kitchen witchery that I do, because I am not the cook in my relationship.
Listen, everyone knows where their skills are.
And I do. Jason is the one who cooks for me, and he spoils me in a whole way. And he is an amazing. Have you seen the book?
He's reading the recipes.
When I'm done with this, he's getting it. That's what's happening. You listening, baby? Because you're gonna get this. I got some pages marked for you.
Right.
But yeah, no, because when I do the little bit that I do, it'll be like, when I'm cooking something and I have to put some basil in it, I'll be like, luck and prosperity and love for my family, and just, a quick little something, but I'm not, like doing a whole shebang or wearing robes or anything. It's just for that in that moment.
Yeah.
But
some of what I gave in the book in terms of like more elaborate ritual is usually like consecration of ingredients, where I think in like the planetary magic chapter, there's always a fumigation that's recommended for each of the recipes, like an incense you would make, which you would like pass your ingredients through. And then I usually recommend the Orphic hymns that are associated with each of those planets, reading those, using the planetary symbols of those planets, whether that's like drawn out on parchment and then you bake stuff on top of it, or drawn in your dough, whatever, that's another way to kind of do the consecration work. And there's one recipe toward the back where it's the Salem witch trials witch cake. That has probably the most involved ritual in the book. The actual historical Salem witch trials witch cake has no ritual. It is basically during the Salem witch trials, Mary Sibley produced a recipe that could divine whether or not someone was actually doing witchcraft in the town, and if people were being hurt by witchcraft, or if it was something else. And so basically, she said, take rye flour. And this is gross. Take the urine of the children who are said to be bewitched and make a rough cake out of it, bake it, and feed it to a dog. Thank God, a dog, not a person. Sorry, dogs, but I don't want to eat the pea cake. And then if the dog starts to exhibit the same signs of witchcraft, then it means that witchcraft is really at play. And I like this kind of like early magical chemistry where they're like, well, if the witchcraft is in the kids, then it should transfer by pee to the dog. That's logical. And this is 1700s science. And so this got me thinking about what would it mean to have a pastry that could give us a yes, no divination answer. And so maybe not something you would do every day. I don't know many questions that would cause me to bake
I was gonna say that's a long process just to get a yes or no. We could pull a card.
But it's no one's done this before as magical technology. And so to show kind of what's possible, to say, can we make a bake that'll do divination work? Yes, we can. And in this one, we consecrate a hazelnut. And hazel being the tree that's most useful for magicians, specifically for divination, from which most historical wands have been made. So we consecrate this hazelnut the night before our ritual, and then we make 2 scones, and the hazelnut is in one of them. And we bake them off. We mix them around. We don't know which one's which. And then when the baking is done, we select one. We immediately discard the other one, and we slice it in half. If it has the hazelnut, it's a yes. If it does not, it's a no. That's it.
Wow.
So it's not like random sortilege. You consecrated the hazelnut. So like this is magical work.
You let the hazelnut know what its job was.
There's, I never write like charms or chants or anything like that. And there's one in there. So I think it's an all right one. And please don't read it out loud.
Okay.
I feel like magical charms and chants sometimes sound very cheesy when you read them out loud. That's me who's like allergic to rhyming.
It makes so that kind of stuff has always taken me out of the moment of magic. It's been a problem of mine since the beginning.
I'd rather do the PGM's Nomini Barbary, where I'm like a rah rah ka rah rah. Like I'd rather do that than like just the rhyming. Like,
and I'm not saying that your magic is your own. If you enjoy rhyming, and that is absolutely fine. Some of us are really great with that, and some of us, for me,
it can help you remember stuff. Like it's useful. I'm allergic to it.
Same. It just takes me right out of it.
I'm a joyless creep who's never had fun. I'm 30 now, so I'm a very serious person. I don't rhyme anymore.
There's no fun anymore. Okay. So Jean had another question, which I actually really want to hear your answer to. Okay. What are your favorite takeout guilty pleasures?
Oh my God. I never say no to takeout Thai food. And we have very good takeout Thai food in New York City. I'm spoiled here in New York. If I want takeout Ethiopian at 4:00 in the morning, I can get it. And it'll be very good. And it'll be $4. So like I'm spoiled in that way. But
I'm so envious of your proximity, the availability of food to you, and deliverable and good and at all hours. Huh.
Oh, my mother moved down to Florida and immediately regretted. She's like, you can't get Chinese food here. She's like, I got a sushi roll. It wasn't right. No, like, you're not even Japanese. You don't know what right means. And she's like, it wasn't right. I've been eating sushi my entire life. I'm an expert. It wasn't right.
I want you to do more impersonations of your mom throughout this interview.
Her Queen's accent. Oh, it's bad. I've worked my entire life to get rid of mine. Because when I went to college, everyone bullied me mercilessly about it. The first time I ever said Fort Lauderdale in front of other people.
This makes me so happy. Again, I'm from Jersey.
Oh yeah, you're a native New Yorker. I'm like, yes, I am, but you don't know. You don't know what's beneath the surface. When I'm like angry and you hear it come out, like I've had ex-boyfriends say that when I get pissed, I'll be like, "Hun, I don't understand why this is a problem." Like I just. So my mother
is my favorite.
And Florida's very, very bad for different cuisines of different cultures. Not a lot of that going on in Florida. So she's like, this sucks. So every time she comes up here, she's like, let's go for Thai food. Let's go for Indian. Let's go for Japanese. Like we can't ever just eat anywhere, normal. We have to go out to try all the different cuisines. But for me, it's Thai food, far and away. Every single day of my life, I could eat Thai food. That's my death row meal, like for sure.
Excellent. I think that's an excellent answer. I think my is it's between Indian and fancy ramen, man. You give me that perfectly cooked egg.
Fancy ramen.
Oh, it's my favorite. There's a restaurant here in Columbus. It's called Mashiku, and it is my absolute favorite. And the problem is, so Jason and I have our date nights. So he actually lives in another town, and we have date nights twice a week, once at my place and once at his place. But when we have it here in Columbus, it is the one day a week that Mashiku is closed. So it makes me crazy. I have to get it when I can. But yeah, it's
fancy ramen is wonderful. When I had COVID, that was like I just got that every night. I was like, I'm sick. Just order and take out every night.
I'm allowed to do this.
Yeah, extra egg, extra ham circles.
If they let me get extra egg, I'm like, oh yeah, the extra egg.
A half dozen, please.
I'll just sit there and eat them. I'll even eat them with chopsticks. A whole egg.
Oh my god! So for a period of time last year, I thought I was developing an egg allergy, and I've learned that it's only when the yolks are runny.
Say that whole thing again.
I'm allergic to eggs, but only when the yolks are runny.
What?
Only when they're done correctly. So I can eat them when you're cooking.
So deeply sorry for you.
Yeah. It's I'm allergic to the sulfur inside of them. My mom actually has the same thing. And people who have gluten sensitivities will feel the same way when I have eggs like that. It's like I've been roofied. Like I lose my energy like a doll who can't stand up and I have to lie down. Gluten people have the same thing. So yeah. I have eggs are like roofies to me. I can't have the drippy yolk anymore.
God, I'm so sorry. That is literally a huge part of my life is drippy yolk. It's almost every morning. I'm so
keep talking about it. Yeah.
I'm not even going to bring up the fact that Nigella Lawson said that if it's not as good as a soft-boiled egg, don't bother to make it.
Oh, it's true.
I'm sorry. I'm going to stop now. Is there anything you can take that can maybe counter those effects?
Oh, I'm allergic to the sulfur. So, I mean, like, I can do it. Like, if I really need to, I can do it. And then I'll just have, like, a bad afternoon.
I didn't know that there was, okay, this might sound totally stupid, but I didn't realize that there was sulfur present when it's runny, but not when it's not.
It denatures or something or whatever, something else denatures in the heat. So when it's cooked all the way, it's encased or something. It passes right through and it's not a problem. But when it's runny, that's when it's not good. So I had like a wobbly quiche and that's how I figured out all of this. So
God damn, that's a bummer. I'm so sorry.
But I'll still do it if I want to, and then just have a weird rest of the day. So,
just roofied.
I just lie down for 3 hours completely.
Don't mind me. I just roofied myself. It's fine.
I just I can't it was when when I had COVID and I couldn't lift my arms. It's like that when I have an egg. So
that's so crazy.
But I can cook them all the way. I can have a hard-boiled egg.
Hey, hard-boiled egg is a fantastic thing. It is. It is a fantastic thing. I'll take a hard-boiled egg.
Salad. I can do stuff. You're right. It's all hope is not lost.
And you can make pickled eggs out of them. You can make jalapeno eggs, beet eggs.
I would take eggs over cheese any day as an allergy. I would rather be allergic to eggs than cheese.
That's fair. That is fair.
Yeah.
Because the amount of people I know who are lactose, at least have problems with it, sensitive, right? Lactose sensitive.
There's so much dairy in my book. It's really unholy the amount of butter and dairy and cheese that's in my book. I tried to.
You can make most of this vegan if you want.
You can, sure. I would need to look at the recipe, but again, people DM me about this all the time. People will be like, "I'm vegan. How do I veganize this?" And I'm like, "There's vegan options for everything now." So there's a lot that can be done. But will it taste the same? No. But no. Butter is something that cannot be replaced, flavor-wise.
This is what I've heard from many chefs.
Yeah, you can replace the texture of butter, but you can't replace the flavor. And it's so integral, like the flavor of a chocolate chip cookie. that we think of is 99% butter. The chocolate chips are just an accessory to the butter. And if you remove the butter and you replace it with like vegan margarine, you no longer have a chocolate chip cookie in any sense.
And that's such a bummer, because
butter is important for a lot of traditional cooking, but it can be replaced. Vegans are not hopeless. It can be replaced, but yeah, listen, certain things are just like,
also, if it's worth it for you to be vegan, then it's okay. I mean, that's okay.
Yeah, and there's no like, honestly, like, if that's your thing, more power to you.
Yeah.
But like, I hear people when they say that like veganizing or vegetarianizing recipes makes them no longer the same. Yes, they're different and good in a different way. I don't think it's bad one way or the other. And I try to make the recipes in my book ones that like will work in either case. And none of them is the meat like the main ingredient that couldn't be replaced with like a big vegetable if you wanted it to. I think there's a recipe for sacrificial quail with a pomegranate sauce where I talk about using sacrifice in your practice and what sacrifice means. And I always, at the end of it, I think I say like, if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, use a big pumpkin. Like, the purpose is that it be a worthwhile sacrifice. It doesn't have to be a blood sacrifice. So get a large vegetable, get a couple of large vegetables, make a big, pot of stew or something like that. In the case of the pomegranate sauce, though, like a big roast pumpkin would be great. So I try to make things modular like
that. Okay, so another question. Isn't there a fairy tale about a hazelnut or some other nut that when devoured gives wisdom to the eater? Have you heard of that?
I don't know about that one, but if there was one, it would probably be a hazelnut. That is the tree that's most associated with like divine wisdom. It's Mercury in the Greek pantheon holds the caduceus, which is a hazel wand, and that gives such knowledge to mankind that we are able to live in peace. Unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Not so much.
It's supposed to be like science was supposed to give us peace, and it didn't really work that way. But anyway, so it's supposed to give you wisdom and stuff like that. So if there was a tree like that, I believe it was the hazel, but I don't know that fairy tale in particular. I'm trying to think of nut-eating fairy tales where that is a magical act. And there's a lot of like folklore about it, but not a lot of fairy tales specifically. But I'm going to look into that. I'm going to write this down. Not a bad idea. I'm sure it exists.
We actually had these years ago. We had these two women who both had master's degrees in like fairy tales, and they came and taught a class on witchcraft in fairy tales. It was fucking fantastic, but I feel like I should ask them. Brittany Warman, if you're listening, I need to answer this.
They'll know. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Look, Betty's back. She says, logging in when I can. This sounds great. I'll have to come back and watch it clean when I'm not mother-in-law sitting.
There you go.
Well, we're just glad you're here. And Jean says, new food rule. What you eat while sick does not count.
Oh, no. Every single night I had a ramen. That does not count. I couldn't move. It was ramen time.
And I feel like but the spices that are in that too would also be helpful for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can be very cleansing.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of like spices that increase your circulation, which help you sweat out.
Exactly. Yeah. Like it's very cleansing. It gets your stuff going.
It's a lot of fat and water, which is hydrating to the body and helps you keep the hydration, which is important when you're sick. I'm not a doctor, but the ramen helped my COVID. So that's, I'll start peddling the next cure. It's not horse chemicals.
It's fancy ramen.
Fancy ramen noodles.
Sounds spicy.
$30 a bowl ramen noodles. That's delivered to your house. You have to eat it in bed.
No problem.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a true crime documentary on, even better.
Oh, Betty says runny eggs get you too. I'm so sorry. That's such a
thing. Yeah. Yes. My new food sensitivity, because I'm old now.
My newest food sensitivity as of a few years ago is now fucking fruits make my mouth tingly and painful, and I hate this so much.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's not all of them, but it's I can't eat peaches, cherries, nectarines, anything with like a big pit in it.
The stone fruits, yeah.
The stone fruits, they literally make my mouth itchy and painful, and
Wow.
And I used to be able to eat a whole bowl of cherries. I could sit I could sit and pit and eat a whole bowl of cherries.
I am the same way. Every spring, I eat 3 pounds of cherries a day. I'm actually going tomorrow to pick the cherry tree that's at Catland because it's in bloom now. We got one from the Great Lakes region. It's a Montmorency cherry, so she's ready, and I've got like 30 pounds of cherries waiting for me. But that's a bummer. Those
Yeah.
are all. Do you find the same thing is true with like strawberries?
Nope.
So it's not all things in the rose family. It's just the stone fruits. Okay.
So far, from the things that I have tried, it's anything that is peach related,
Okay.
which sucks so bad because I love everything plums, peaches, nectarines, all of them. I've grew up loving all of them, and cherries. That was a big kick in the ass.
Shoot. Yeah, it happens as we get old.
I don't. Yeah, I would say it happened roughly 4 to 5 years ago is when it started, and it started slow where I would eat it and I'm like, I'm slightly uncomfortable. Now it's like it's grown and it's terrible.
That's the thing about food sensitivities though. Like when it starts to make you feel bad, you no longer crave it. You know, with eggs, like it makes me feel so bad that when I look at the runny yolks, I get nauseous now. So it's like it's not even. It'll get to that point with cherries, I imagine. With my best friend, she's allergic to gluten, and when she looks at bread, she's like, "Oh, I can't. Oh no," and she thought she'd never get to that point. So,
Yeah.
It's a thing.
I think after having so many negative responses to it, you're like, I don't even like you anymore. It's like that toxic relationship you used to think you liked. And then you're like, okay. Do you want to talk about some of my actual questions now that we're an hour and a half in?
Got another tangent about runny eggs later.
Whatever. That's what this show is about. Honestly, it's actually not that fun when I get to my questions.
No, I like your questions. What's the next one?
Well, we were still on. Oh my God, we were still on rapid fire questions. That's supposed to be the first 10 minutes of the show.
All right, let's definitely do more of them. Okay.
Okay. Next rapid fire question. Movies or TV shows? What do you like better?
TV shows. I like them bite sized. I'm a Gemini.
Excellent.
Fan. Yeah.
What are you watching right now?
True crime. Whenever I don't have any show to watch, I'm waiting for the new Stranger Things to come out, but it's just been true crime documentary series. And that's one of my weird little hobbies is I feel safer when I know what the serial killers are doing. So I watch true crime documentaries because it gives me a sense of control. And I love it so much.
Okay, I'm going to tangent here for just a quick minute because I was not a true crime person for a long time. I actually avoided it because I don't like thinking about horrible things that happen to people. It makes me sick.
Sure.
But I, at some point, broke down and finally gave in and started listening to My Favorite Murder as a podcast.
They're so good.
And what happened was not what I expected to happen. What happened was my awareness level of safety and things like that raised so much, and my awareness of what to look for and things like that was not something I expected. And so when you say that you watch it for control, I get it now. I wouldn't have gotten it before.
I feel safer when I know what they're up to, you know?
Yeah, what the possibilities are. Oh, I've seen this before. That's a setup.
Some guy comes up to me, he's like, my car broke down. I'm like, fuck you, Ted Bundy. Like,
well, you grew up in New York. You're probably always a little bit like, fuck you, Ted Bundy. I hope so. East Coast, we tend to be a little.
On your show. I'm real sorry. I'm a New Yorker. I don't.
Oh, what did you say? I'm sorry.
I said, is cursing allowed on your show?
Oh, it's encouraged.
Okay, good.
Fuck. Fucking curse.
Fuck you, Ted Bundy. I'm not getting in your car. No, it's yeah. And then when the show is over and I go to bed, of course, I picture Ted Bundy standing in my bedroom, who's been dead for 30 years. But
you have the things in place that you now need in case that would happen.
So it's this push-pull between creating more anxiety and also soothing my anxiety. And at least I know it's not me, you know, in the show. So that's my preferred like brain candy is just true crime documentaries.
Okay. So my next question was actually music or podcasts.
As far as music, for sure. I don't love podcasts. I am I am on one and I like them. I wish most of them were shorter, or I wish that they I'd love to be on them and I love to have long conversations, but I don't have a very long attention span. And so it's hard for me to finish a podcast. I'll like stop start. I recently listened to one on Glitch Bottle with Jack Grail, and he was talking about the Hekateon and other stuff, and it was a 3-hour podcast.
Yeah.
And it took me like a month to get through it. I'll do like 20 minutes over breakfast, and then like later on, that's about it.
I find that I was not into podcasts so much because when I get in my car, I'm literally a radio listener, as in because I don't have time to like put in a CD or pick out stuff. And my car, when it collects to my phone, is a pain in the ass. It takes like 10 minutes for it to realize I'm in the car. It's a 2013. It's older, and so the tech's not there. But when I started taking longer drives on a regular basis, that's when I got into podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love your narrative style podcasts, like My Favorite Murder, where they're telling the stories. Like that really works for me. I'm also hearing disabled, and so I think that plays a role. Like,
sure.
I'm half deaf, and so I do have hearing aids that I wear. Not today, but like normally I have them. And so I think that plays a role in normally, like when I watch TV, I always have the subtitles on, and there's no subtitles with a podcast.
Oh,
and so like I can hear it fine, but my brain wants the double check. It wants the subtitle. You know what I mean? And so it's like more challenging in a way.
That makes sense.
I never thought about it until just this moment, actually.
I never thought about that either, because I know a lot of people. So you watch TV with subtitles on.
I do, yeah.
This is a dividing line that I didn't realize was happening in America. Is that there are people who do, and they don't understand how other people don't, and there's people who don't understand how other people do. Yeah. I can't have subtitles on because I read it too fast, and then I don't like my interaction with the subject matter.
It'll give away a joke before it's said. That happens sometimes. If there's a suspenseful moment, I usually stop reading the subtitle because I'm waiting for them to say.
I'm gonna look at the bottom.
I'll do that. I'll be like, "What's the name gonna be?" I don't want to read it. I know that. And I've done the thing. That's deaf people problems.
I think that's pretty common too. Like a lot of people, I just found out that my daughter is one of the people who watches with subtitles all the time.
Yeah, it just sometimes makes it a little easier. Yeah.
Yeah. And I understand it, but I've definitely found out that there is definitely like a divide where people are like, "You do what?"
Yeah, get angry.
But people get angry because they can't see that person's side, which I think is a problem with the country and the world in general. But what? Do you hear her?
I do.
Maybe wave. Jeez. Oh, I don't know what that was, but something came up.
Oh no.
It's fine. She's fine. Okay. What? Well, we'll be all right. Okay. So let's see. Jean says, and she fixes it here. Sucre
Bill, yeah.
Has a My Favorite Murder podcast fragrance. Wait, what?
Everyone gets their own perfume these days.
What? Are you serious? That's a thing?
Good for them.
That's nuts.
Does it smell like murder?
And what kind of murder does it smell like? Because there's so many different kinds.
Some murders would be way better smelling than others.
Oh, right.
That's not the subject of your show. I'm so sorry. We're not going to rank the murders by which would smell best.
Well, there's really no definite subject of my show, so we really could do that. If anyone's interested, we might have a side show that discusses
We're talking about
different murders would smell like
best.
In some murders, there are evacuation of bowels, which would definitely lend a whole palette that scatol and indole we were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's included. It's a women-owned fragrance company. Amy Blackthorne likes them. Wow.
Awesome.
Amy Blackthorne is one of my favorite people, so that makes sense to me.
Awesome. Were there more of the rapid fire questions that you wanted to work?
Oh yeah. Wait, I don't know. Let's see. Well, I click one thing and everything disappears. All right. Let's see. Oh, what's your favorite board game?
Oh my goodness, I haven't played a board game in so
Or
long.
card game or any sort of sit and
I'm
play
like
game?
I'm weirdly extremely competitive about Scrabble, like extremely
So
competitive.
Scrabble.
I do. And my family's very big on cribbage. So like I'm quite good at cribbage. And
I have no
so
idea what cribbage is.
you ever see those little boards with the holes and these little pegs that
Yeah,
go
yeah,
around
yeah.
the back?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's cribbage.
And there's cards that go with that too?
It's a card game, and then that's the scoring system.
Oh, okay.
It's like poker kind of. And so
Oh.
we play cribbage, and I'll like put money down on cribbage games, like I'm good. And Scrabble, I'm very good at Scrabble. I weirdly very competitive about it. Like I know all the 2-letter words. I'll ruin your life. And enjoy. That's my Mars and Aries. Like I will ruin your life. That's my favorite board game.
Have you perfected an evil laugh? Can we hear it?
No, I haven't. No, I'm again triple Gemini. I think it's just the laugh I have. I think it's just the one I have. That's the one I got. It's attached to an evil person. No, Geminis have such a bad rap. I'm not going to defend us now, though. Not during birthday month.
So my partner Jason, he is a Gemini, and it's funny because I've always said that I think he's a Taurus. I've always thought he was lying. His mother's lying about his birthday. Somebody's lying about his birthday. So I finally did his chart after a while, and it turns out he's like Gemini sun, and then everything else is in Taurus. It's like 5 things.
You know, your sun sign is such a little part of your chart.
Yes.
The rest of it really makes a big difference. But I redid my chart to account for sidereal astrology. So with Ophiuchus and everything. And I'm a Taurus under that designation.
Interesting.
And it gave me the biggest like mind fuck because I was like, how much of my
How does it affect your
personality
identity?
was me socialized as a Gemini, growing up thinking, oh, you're talky, oh, you're creative, oh, you're intelligent, this and that, which I became because I have 3 Gemini placements. But if I had been socialized as a Taurus, would I be different?
So to think about being socialized, and this is Jason's my partner, mess with a Gemini, you get the bull. You dork. That's funny. All right, that's actually pretty clever. But so you grew up being socialized as a Gemini, meaning that your family or your mom or your dad were very zodiac conscious.
Oh, my Pisces mother was very zodiac conscious.
My Aries mother was very. I mean, that was the first thing she would ask is when is their birthday?
Oh, my mother told me all the time. She's like, I prayed for you not to be a Gemini. Every day I prayed. I was like, give me a time.
I love it when you do your mother's voice. I'm so happy.
Every day I pray. And for my sister's born like the last day of Sagittarius. She's like, finally they heard me. I said, not a Scorpio. I can't do a Gemini and a Scorpio. I can't.
Oh my God.
The poor Pisces mother, if she had a Gemini and a Scorpio, we'd have eaten her alive. Luckily, she's got a Gemini and a Sagittarius. So it's just wild, crazy, no nonsense time or nonsense time. It's just a lot of silliness.
Well, at least a Sagittarius is going to be a lot more helpful than a Scorpio.
There's a lot of really inventive ways of doing things with Gemini and Sagittarius.
And that's always beautiful.
You had to keep us stimulated, or we would become destructive.
Oh my God! One of my favorite things I've ever seen. There was one of those things that goes around about they classify all of the signs. The one that was for Sagittarius made me laugh so hard. It was like it was like this person who was like, it was like a team leader person, and they're helping all their people, and yes, and oh, you did great, and blah blah blah, and then they all leave the room, and they're like, I am the smartest person. You're all idiots.
Also, that's my sister. Don't tell her.
So good, right?
Yes. Bless. Yeah, my poor Pisces mother really had her hands full. It was my father was an Aries, I was a Gemini, my sister was a Sagittarius. She had no chance. She just no, just retreated into the romance novels.
You can all you can have it. You can all have it.
Yeah, she's like, I'll be here with my fantasy world.
I don't need to fight you on any of this.
Yep. Yep. Oh man.
Okay. All right. Questions. Wait. Hold on. We got. Christy says, "Oh my God, 4 planets in Scorpio, so stingy."
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Christina says, "I got a Virgo and a Libra.
I think I'm
okay."
Of course, you're all okay. No matter, like, listen, we're dragging signs for fun, but I got cursed placements. You heard about how much Gemini's in my chart. Like, drag me for filth. Like, I just, there's
I
no
want to say
bad placements. There's just challenges that you can become aware of.
yes. Okay. Here's one of the questions that I have coming up later, but let's bring it up now.
Sure.
You often get asked these questions about what is the best blank for blank. What book do you point people towards for basic astrology learning, like first base stuff?
There's a book called Learning Astrology that's pretty good. I don't. Who's the author? I know
it's by many different people. They all wrote the same book. It's called Learning Astrology.
Learning Astrology. It's got a big blue cover. It's from Wiser, I believe. I reviewed the covers, and now I can't find anything. Learning Astrology by Damien Sharp. Yeah, that's the one that I like quite a bit. Yeah,
I'm gonna write that down.
I'm not an astrologer, so like my knowledge of a good astrology book is limited. I'm a tarot reader and I do other forms of divination, but I'm not an astrologer. I just like to do it because it's fun. I like to look at people's 5th and 6th houses and kind of guess if they're freaky or not. Like that's the kind of person I am. I don't really. I do astrology like at the bar to get a free. Like I don't.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. My favorite is You Were Born for This.
Channing Nicholas. That's a nice one. Yeah,
I'm a fan of that because it's like a choose your own adventure. She basically like leads you through. She's like, here, go to this website. I'll tell you all those things, and then you look up these things in this book, and I'll tell you stuff. And then you're just like, how do you know this stuff about me?
Which and it was a beautifully designed book too, and that's like so many good quality witchcraft books have gotten really alarming covers over the years. And I think that this is not fair. And I'm like glad to see that witchcraft books are getting to be beautifully designed now. Because if we look at the 90s.
So you're looking at You Were Born for This, which is that what you're talking about?
Beautiful. Yeah, and that was a modern book that's very, very beautifully done, right? And I'm thinking about like older astrology books from the 90s that were like, you know, a witch holding a sword like in front of an astrology wheel, and there's like a wolf for no reason, and like, you know, like that's. I'm glad that witchcraft books are getting a design preference now from publishers because it's not always that way.
Christina says that she's married to a Sagittarius. So was it my explaining of how they're all idiots? Because I got to tell you, every Sagittarius I've ever known is like a great team leader, but also like an evil genius in the inside.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which this is the kind of astrology I like to do too. I'm also, so tarot is my expertise. Herbs and scents are my base. But also, I don't know. I can talk about all of them a lot, but astrology is like my bar talent. Like you said, like I can. Oh, you tell me what your first 3 are, and I can give you a lowdown that will make you go. Oh.
Yeah, I'll be like, call your mom, get your birth information.
Oh, my daughter. Okay, so my daughter is 15. She started seeing a boy. His name is Awesome Kid. He's a sweet little kid. And when she went to have dinner at his parents' house for the first time, his mom asked for her birth time.
I love this. 2 witch families.
I thought it was fucking adorable. I'm like, I would feel uncomfortable asking that because of what I do and because how people perceive me. I would never want to make them feel uncomfortable that I'm looking into things. But in the same way, I love that she asked. I thought it was so great. It was
cool. She must have gotten a vibe that it was cool.
Yeah, I was, yeah, because Anna, my daughter, she came home and she was like, guess what, Mom? She asked for my birth time. I was like, and Anna knows it because her and I have been through this already. Like we've gone through her stuff together. So yeah, it was really cute. It just struck me as like she found another little witchy family to be a part of.
Good for her. So excited.
I know. And he's a sweetheart. He's actually, for a 16-year-old boy, not afraid, not weird, not just kind of natural sounding, and like, oh hey, it's nice to see you again, that kind of thing. And I'm like, usually kids are terrified of,
are weird and nervous. Yeah, especially in high school. I was weird and nervous. I'm still weird and nervous. So that's big of him. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah. But I also think he's one of those kids who they have like regular family dinner time every night, which I also think is interesting, because then the mom asking for the birth time, it's almost like they're not in the same category for me, which I like, because it means they're weird.
Yep, they definitely sound weird, which is good. Like, we'll take
home family values, plus there's some magic shit there.
I want that sitcom.
I'll let you know.
Oh man.
All right, let's see what people have to say. No, when I learned more about the sign, he can be a sweetheart and an asshole at the same time. Yeah, that's kind of the point. That's exactly kind of the point. Yep. Okay. All right. What time is it? It is 10:20. Are you pressed for time?
I'm a little bit pressed up. I probably got a boogie at like 10:45 the latest.
Okay, so you can hang out for like a couple more questions.
Absolutely, I can.
And at least one or two more tangents.
Absolutely.
Okay, so one of the things I always ask my guests is their origin stories. How did you come upon witchcraft? How did you get here?
So my mom was the entry point. That Pisces wellspring was all things spiritual. I think I was given my first book on past life regression at like 12 years old. So she was a tarot reader.
You had a leg up, friend. That's cool.
She was a medium. She would be like speaking to people's dead relatives when we went to like the IHOP for pancakes. Like, like Long Island Medium. My mom's not Teresa Caputo, but it was the same experience. Like she'd be stopping people at the Payless shoes, being like, "Your father, he's here, he's appeared." Like,
no, are you serious?
Yeah. We would go on family vacations to like Williamsburg, Virginia, and she would be like overwhelmed with ghosts and spirits and stuff. She was always having experiences. Like it was around.
Did you think that it was bullshit, or were you like?
I believed her implicitly, never had a reason to question it. And it was very real for her. And it was not always a pleasant experience for her. Mediumship is not a gift I'd wish on anyone. It's a burden in a lot of ways. And so she found that it was always this non-consensual experience with the dead. She says that the interactions never have any point value. And that it was always just, again, non-consensual. And so I grew up just never doubting it, because it wasn't like she was trying to use it for fame or to become a famous medium. She was just having these experiences regularly.
If anything, you're just making family vacations uncomfortable.
And who would do that on purpose, Right.
It's not like the attention you get is good.
Not a Pisces would stir in the pot. Not a Pisces. So I believed her implicitly. My first deck of tarot cards were from her. That's where it all comes from for me. The interest has always been there. And there's, society tries to get it out of you. I've had boyfriends like tarot cards on the floor and go, "This is stupid." And like, the world tries to beat it out of you. But it was something I always came back to and was always very interested in. And I'm not surprised that it's my career as an adult. I'm surprised because I never thought I would do this for a living, but I'm not surprised it's like my area of research and interest.
Baby, stop. I'm listening to Melissa speak. Can you stop? You hear her? She's over there yelling at me. She's
my mom's a witch too.
Oh, she's laying down now like she did nothing, by the way.
She was like, "My mom's a witch too." We're talking about witch moms.
It's not your interview. You stop now.
That's my origin story.
And I love that. That's amazing. Okay, so my next part of the origin story is how did you become a co-owner of Catland Books? Because I watched your little video, little thing that you started going there as a customer.
Yes, I did. I started going there as a customer after the death of my father. I became involved in a no longer with us yoga studio in Bushwick, which everyone who was around there at the time will remember. Body Actualized Studio. It was a kind of a lawless Wild West of a yoga studio. They were just like you'd be going for yoga and they'd be like, "Do you want some psilocybin mushroom tea?" And I'm like, "It's 11 a.m." Like it was like,
Oh,
just,
you're not kidding. That is
no,
lawless.
no, it was
I
a
mean,
Wild West.
awesome. I mean, I kind of respect the Wild West in this way
Yeah,
of lawlessness.
absolutely. Yeah. You'd be like, "What's in this?"
Oh,
It
it's
was
going to
a great
make your
time.
practice better.
Yeah, it was a great time, and now they don't exist anymore, which is probably for the best. But yeah, it was a good space, and they had a tarot reader who was reading there who said, "Come see me at Catland," and I went in on a particularly bad day when my father was dying, and I was just roaming the shelves. I was the only person in there, and it was Gary Sudo and Joseph Peterson, one of the old owners and one of the community members behind the desk. And they said, "Do you need anything?" I just burst into tears, and I was like, "So much is wrong."
Oh,
And they just let me sit behind the counter,
yeah.
and they made me custom tools for whatever I needed, told me how to use them, and they said, "If you have any questions, here's our number, call us." And I just never received that kind of reception at an occult shop. You know, a
Yeah.
lot of occult shops they can be a little gatekeepy. They can be a little cold.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, and
Yep.
Catlin was the first place where people were like, "Let me walk you through it." And that was really miraculous. It was something I very much needed at that time. And as a customer, they just let me sit in the shop all day when I wanted to, when I just didn't want to be by myself. Like after my dad
Mm.
passed, they would just let me sit there and like read comic books. And so I did, and I got to meet some of my like early magical mentors that way, and I got to get involved in the community that way. And when it came time for them when the owners of that space wanted to move on, they were selling the shop, and I had been an investor previously, so they knew that I was seriously, around, and they gave me the pitch to sign on. And it was I had left the restaurant industry I think 6 months earlier, and I had left for good. I'm never coming back, and I was looking for the next thing. So it kind of fell right into my lap at the perfect time. I didn't know anything about running a business. I'd never done more than like inventory sheets at my restaurant, but figure it out fast. And it's been a wonderful experience, and to watch it grow to the 3 storefronts that it is now is shocking from what we came from. And
Exciting.
I owe so much to the original people who opened the shop, and all the legwork that they did in getting it to where it is. And now we've been around for 7 years, and I've been there for 5 of them, or it might be we've been around for 8 years, and I've been there for 6 of them. Uh,
Who knows what years it is anymore?
I started in 2015. So
Oh
yeah, I
wow.
started in 7 years. No, so we've been around for 9 years, and I've been there for 7 of them. Oh wow. Shoot. Damn, I am old. But it's been great.
Well, you're 30 now.
I'm 30 now. I'm old now. And 7 years of my life to cat
Oh my
slave to the
god.
spirit of Catland. But it's been a lot of hard work. Small business ownership is not glamorous. Whether it's witchcraft tools or pencil, it's hard. So it's been difficult to get it together, but where it's now, I'm so happy with it. I love my business partners. I love the work that we do. Like I'm very happy with the shape of Catland now.
Well, I have to tell you, you have made it huge. You have made it a big name. I feel like you've really put it on the map.
And it wasn't on the map. And New York City really needed a big occult shop.
So let me ask you this. I don't know if this is before your time. Did you ever get to go into the Magical Child?
No, it was before my time, but we get compared
Was
to the
it?
Magical Child a lot.
You what?
We get compared to the Magical Child a lot.
But without the toxicity. I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yes. That I hope not, at least.
One of my favorite New York occult store references. Ghostbusters. Raise a cult.
Magical Child?
Don't raise a cult is from like Ghostbusters. Which I think I think that raise a cult as in like, the thing that oh my God, what is his name? Dan Aykroyd's character when he ran Raise a Cult, I think it was a takeoff of Magical Child.
Had to be.
I had to be, because it was this little tiny thing where he was like, ordering books and, oh, give my love to the coven.
That really is so much of what we do. And that's, so that's the fun part of running in a cult shop. We used to have a life-size cardboard cutout of Aleister Crowley on loan from the Thelemic Temple, like in the shop. And I dress him up for Christmas. I put little hats on him. But they didn't like that, so they took him back.
Oh!
They were like, is that a party hat on Aleister Crowley? And I was like, yeah, it was our
Just off the OTO.
And I got a phone call from Lon Milo Duquette one day. I'm just like, I'm like, Catland Books. He goes, hi, this is Lon Milo Duquette. And I'm like, you're just calling me?
Magic of Thelema, Lon Milo Duquette.
I'm like, I thought you'd send an owl or something. So, they're just like you.
I got to interview Lon on the show.
Really?
Oh my God. And I got to tell you, the nervousness, the stomach pains, the research that went into that, I was fucking terrified, but so excited because, he's Lon Milo Duquette. Like he has done. Really, right now is when you're gonna do this. I'm so sorry. She's lost her dang mind. But yeah, no, interviewing him was a huge deal for me because I, studying his work and just, I didn't even realize when I booked okay, backtrack a little bit. Tony Rotunda is actually the owner of the Buckland Museum collection, right? Mm-hmm. So she owns the museum, and Steve Intermill, he is the director and the curator of the collection. Mm-hmm. And so it was Tony who got me in touch with Lon, and I was like, okay, all right, well that seems intimidating. And then it wasn't until after I booked the interview that I realized that he had written Magic of Thelema, which is one of my starter books from 20 years ago.
He also wrote one of my starter books, which is Homemade Magic.
Oh,
on creating your own magical tools, which is such a good book.
I've never read it.
For beginners, it's one of the best.
What's it called?
Homemade Magic with a CK. And he walks you through deciding what you believe, which is like every beginner book skips that step.
That man is still one of my favorite people. One of my favorite interviews, one of my favorite authors. Just I see him post. I think yesterday he posted him and his wife have been together for 52 years.
Yeah. Oh, he's a real gem. He came to New York and did an event at Catherine a while ago, so I got to meet him, which was wild. And then we took him out for Indian dinner, and I watched him drink like 4 mango lassis in a row. And then we went to this spot in the West Village. He's a musician, and he performed live.
Yeah.
This like dirty songs about occult orgies.
Yes.
And I went, we were done. I came up to him, I was like, Lon Milo Duquette, you're a dirty old man. And he was like, I'm sorry. And
you learned from the best. I mean,
you're a dirty old man. And he was like, okay.
Oh my God. Right. I have to let my dog out of this room for just 1 second. I'm so sorry. She is losing her. What is going on with the baby?
Lon Milo Duquette's dirty songs about what's his name? Isaac Lobanowitz, like grabbing someone's boob, or it's all like old guard occult in this like spectral orgy in his mind. He's a hoot. He's a real hoot.
Yeah.
And an excellent writer. I love his writing style, and just a gem of a person. We're glad to have him here on Earth.
He still to this day hosts a Monday night discussion learning group. Still, like it was in his home forever, but then they had to move it online. But he still does it.
Of course he does.
Every once in a while, my phone will tell me that, oh, Lon Milo Duquette is live right now, reading from blah blah blah. You're like,
you can follow him on social media. I keep forgetting to follow famous occultists. I forget that they have social media. Most of them don't.
But he does. He actually stays current, and I love. He is one of the funniest occultists I've ever met. He is. Yeah, he is. Hands down, like could have actually gone on to be a comedian or a comedy writer as opposed to an occultist. I'm glad we have him.
Yes, very glad we have him.
Okay, I know we're getting close to time. Let me look at anything else that I.
What did we get to? We've talked about so much.
We did, and there's a bunch here that's filler because if it got boring, I have filler, but we don't need any of that. Okay. Okay, so this was a question that we touched on a little bit as far as books you suggest for people who come in. And so I just want to, what is your book that you would suggest for herbs?
There's two. If you want to learn theory of working with herbs and what herbs mean in magic, Harold Roth's The Witching Herbs is a great one. It only covers a couple of key herbs, but he talks a lot about praxis and how they're meant to be used. On the same subject, I like any of Corinne Boyer's writing on plants.
Yeah.
Corinne Boyer is a plant folklorist, and so she covers a lot of different specific techniques of working with plants and different charms that were in traditional usage. Plants of the Devil is a good one from her on poisonous plants and malefic plants. She's also got one on brambles called Under the Bramble Arch, and then one on trees called Under the Witching Tree. She's an incredible mind.
I know that one. Okay.
An incredible mind in occultism right now, and a lot of her stuff's being published through Three Hands Press. So with Dan Schultz. She lives out in the Pacific Northwest, and that's a person who I wish had social media because I'd be all over that. I'm obsessed with her. I think she's not like in a creepy way, but in just a really admire her work kind of way. Corinne Boyer, yeah. And then as in terms of like a herb dictionary, Wort Cunning from Nigel Pearson is a good short, it's small, and it's fun. It's a book that goes both ways. And one way, it's a medicinal herbal, so it's all medicines of plants, and then you flip it around, and it's an occult herbal, so it's all the correspondences of the plants.
Say the name again.
It's Wort Cunning, one word, from Nigel Pearson, and I believe that book is distributed through Troy Books. That's the publisher.
Here's the thing: we had that book at the shop, and I think that's out of print already.
You know what it is? It's not that. It's Llewellyn stopped carrying it. So Llewellyn was carrying Troy Books, and now they're not. So you have to go through Troy Books directly.
No problem. I can do that.
Yeah. So that happened to us too. We were like, how are we going to get all the favorite Troy
books? All the Jim McGarry stuff, all of that.
Yeah. So Llewellyn just dropped them as a small publisher. And so now you just go order through them directly. But they're great. Jane Cox, I think, runs it, and they're very communicative. They ship out really fast. Like, I love working with them.
Jane Cox, got it.
Yeah.
I'm totally just pumping you at the info at this point.
Cool. Here are publishers to consider. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And we're still on the like books you suggest. What about for beginners? As in, like, people come in, and I know that we direct them in different ways depending on what they're interested in. But what is like I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Give me a general book to look into.
I never do that because I think that's a disservice to someone. They have to come in knowing what they want. I always tell them that. I'm like, when you walk in the doors and you're going to ask me for a recommendation, don't ask me for any random recommendation. This is not stuff that you can kind of get into randomly. You got to know what you're interested in, and you got to kind of know what you're going to want to study, or else it's going to feel pointless because it's not going to be what you want.
But I feel like there's got to be an overall, as in, like, because the hardest question in the world is, one, what do you want? So to put them on the spot that way would be tough. But when they're just like, I don't know, I'm just generally interested in witchcraft, how do I find out more?
So I go in one of two directions. I'll first say, well, is there a tradition that you're interested in? Is there a tradition that you've heard about that you want to explore? If you're not sure and you're a white person from America who's got European ancestry, let me show you traditional witchcraft. If you or maybe you're interested in ceremonial magic and you're like, well, I heard about Aleister Crowley. Let's look at the Crowley books. If you heard about Wicca stuff, let's look at the Wicca books. If that doesn't really feel like for you, if you're Italian, maybe we look at the Italian folk magic book. I start with ancestry. I start with those kind of stuff. If that doesn't really go anywhere, I'll usually say, okay, when you picture yourself practicing magic, what are you picturing? And they'll go, usually there's plants around. I go, good.
Hey!
Candles around. I go, good. Candle magic books. And I always tell them, if you're a beginner, I know you want to start with spells. Everybody does. Don't. Because
I tell you, the hardest fucking path to learning magic is goddamn spell work, because it's going to teach you things, but it's going to be the hardest fucking lessons.
Yeah. Well, also, like any skill, it needs to be developed. And a lot of people with any skill will try it a few times, realize that they don't have a skill with it, and then get discouraged.
Fair enough.
And I don't want anyone to have that with magic.
Yeah.
It's so easy to lose faith in magic in a world that's so deeply disenchanted. I forget who, I think it's Phil Hine in Condensed Chaos. He says, magic, like sex, is something that you need to experience directly in order to know that it's real and what it is. And if you can do any act of magic that will demonstrate to yourself that magic works, I'm going to sneeze, excuse me.
Bless you. Cashew, as some people say.
Thank you. That will be worth more than what any introductory book can tell you. So I do think people should be experimenting with magic, but I think you should be prepared to be disappointed with your first few spellwork experiences.
If that's your entry in, if your entry in is spell work, it is going to teach you, but it's going to teach you hard. It's going to teach you as in it's going to backfire or it's not going to work, and you're going to feel frustrated.
Feel frustrated, and I don't think that that's a good place to put a beginner in.
Agreed.
I think that you should get theory so that you understand how this stuff works before you just start. Like, because if you were like, okay, I want to be a chef, and you just went in your kitchen and pulled random stuff and mixed it up and it came out horrible.
I'm going to chop things. I'm going to put them in a bowl.
Maybe about yourself. Yeah, you'd be like, chef is not right for me. But I don't want people to think that witchcraft is not right for them just because, a lot of people want to start out with honestly a big ask, like a love spell. Or I have a lot of clients who come for spell work consultations, which is a unique service we offer at Catland, where you can sit down with me and you can say, I want to do X spell, and I'll be like, okay, here's my version of step-by-step instructions for that. And when a lot of people come in, they go, I've never done any magic before. It's my first time. I've never had a tarot reading. I've never done anything, but I need a spell that'll make me win the lottery. I only have $3. And I don't want to buy any materia. And I'm like, no.
There's a no here.
Well, magic is equal parts. Can I follow directions? And can I use the tools effectively? Do I have the skills to use the tools effectively? And that's the part that I want people to have strengthened a little bit before they go in to follow the directions. Because if not, you're not going to get good results. And I don't want you to be discouraged. And to think that magic doesn't work just because, of course it doesn't when you're a beginner, So that's why I'm like really hesitant to be like spell books for beginners. And I really like to have a long conversation. When you come in and you say you don't know what you want, I'm going to make you tell me what you want because you know what you want. You do. Go ahead.
I always ask them, what has drawn you to this path?
Yeah.
What is the thing that you saw that looked really cool that you can't stop thinking about? Is it tarot? Is it herbs? Is it astrology? Is it because the umbrella of witchcraft is huge, and whatever brought you in here is how we can then get you.
And I feel like there's also general books on witchcraft usually don't give enough information to get someone actually excited. They're almost a little too general sometimes, especially ones that try to be a catch-all for multiple traditions. And so I feel like good information from a more specific book can put someone on a better path than like a very general wishy-washy introduction to what is magic book that's not going to give them anything concrete to work off of, So that's my philosophy. I'm very annoying when someone asks for a book recommendation in that it's going to be a conversation.
I'm going to have so many questions for you.
Good.
Okay, so I have one last question. It's 10:42. I feel like I have a couple minutes left with you. I have one last question.
Sure.
What was your first book that you read?
My first witch book?
That you read that affected you?
I think it was that past life regression book my mom gave me at 12. I hate to say it. It was called Many Lives, Many Masters.
That's okay.
It was it's a psychologist who does hypnosis, and he had clients begin to regress. And so he started to do independent research into regression, and that's it. So I'm a hard science person. I went to robotics in college.
Okay, so after you read that, what was the thing that gave you the layout of what either traditional or Wicca or what was it?
That was such a floundering experience. And I really just tried a bunch of different things until I landed where I am now, which is complex. But I like to say my practice right now is very traditionally grounded, and it's traditionally grounded in one time period in the religion and magic of ancient Greece and Egypt. So like that's where the root of it is. But a lot of my praxis is very chaos magic oriented. It's very much like, how can we take any working, historical or otherwise, and break it into its functional pieces and reconstruct it. And so I like an experiment. Yes, I like an experimental praxis that's focused on, are we getting results? Because that's my scientific brain. That's me as the robotic engineer, you know, and all the other science stuff that I've done. And then, you know, it took a long while for me to find a traditional grounding that I really liked. But this feels good. And maybe I'll probably flit on from here to something else. If I ever get like really, really, really into ceremonial magic, just take me out back and shoot me. I can't. If I ever have run, that means I've lost all interest in the world. I can't do it. It's too much for me. It's so much an emphasis on materia and on like things that are given as sacred, which I don't believe. I think in order for something to be sacred for me, it needs to be interactive. And I'm not just going to recite holy names because they're in a book.
Like, and that is what ceremonial magic is. It literally is like a grimoire of say these things, do these things, make these signs, do this stuff.
And I just kind of want to be like, prove it. And like, because I've done a lot of that stuff and I haven't, like, this is the ceremonial, the chaos magician in me. I haven't gotten good results.
I feel like chaos magicians are basically like the fuck you to ceremonial magicians, isn't like, we don't need all this bullshit, because chaos magic literally says we don't need dogma, we don't need all these things, we need sigils.
Yeah. And so that's a couple death monsters. Like, I do like a lot of the materia and the pomp and the circumstance, but for me, it's a matter of, does it work? And I've tried the ceremonial magic stuff before. It doesn't work. And I think that if I ever really, really got into it, it would mean that I have hit a wall and I'm trying anything that works. Right now, I'm getting good results from the stuff that I'm working through. And that's what keeps me on the path. When I'm like working through a particular tradition or a set of spells and I'm not getting good results, I'm going to be moving pretty quickly. And so, again, accounting for skill level with certain tools and different things like that, you know, but.
What are your feelings on Austin Spare? Just real quick.
Love him. I mean, but maybe I don't. You're smiling like there's something I should know.
No, I love him too. Austin Osman Spare is like the fucking grandfather of chaos magic.
I love him so much.
I love him so much.
I teach about his death posture ritual all the time.
That's what I was talking. That's all I need is a sigil and a death posture, and I can do this.
What a creep, right? Just what a creep. I mean, all chaos magicians are creeps, myself included. I'm sorry, we're weird. The Discordians are the weirdest, but the Discordians are like the furries of chaos magic.
Oh my god!
No, that's mean. That's too mean. I'm sorry.
No, that was hilarious and awesome.
When they're like, "You come die for our sins," I'm like, "Okay." Like,
oh, Discordians are the furries. Oh.
No, that was mean to Discordians.
That was hilarious, and Discordians are laughing their asses off right now.
You're right. I've never met a Discordian who couldn't laugh at themselves. So
are you kidding me? Of course, that's the whole basis. Isn't like none of this fucking matters. We're fine. Have a goddamn sense of humor.
No. But every ceremonial magician listening is like, "What do you mean? We're too technical." Like, they are.
They're not listening.
They would take offense, not the Discordians.
They're not even listening to the show. Trust me.
You're right. You're right.
They're only too chaotic for them. We've done nothing but fuck off and tangent the whole time.
It's only scholarly, real occultism. That's my problem with Grimtrad. If you have to say on every page that the book is real, maybe it's not real. I don't know. Like this belief in the books as the source of truth, like the fact that they've been repeated. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not going to rag on ceremonial magic all night. What I'm going to say is
just going to go ahead and say, I agree with Jean. Oh my fucking God. I have loved this entire conversation.
Me too. And I'm sorry I have to go. But this has been absolutely wonderful. And I'm really happy to be back next week again for our lecture where we'll actually be talking about the book instead of just how goofy ceremonial magicians are.
Okay. So we're going to wrap up real quick. So everybody who is listening, Melissa Madara is going to be doing an online class with WitchLab next Wednesday. You can sign up on witchlab.com. Literally on the front page, just scroll down. You'll see the events. Just hit events and you will see her class that pops up, history of kitchen witchery, and tell them how they can find you otherwise.
Sure. So on social media, you can find me at saint.jane. That's saint.jayne. I can, oh no, I can't pop that in the comments, but I spelled it, so you got it. And I'm there on Instagram. I'm on TikTok.
You know
But
what it is? SAINT@JAYNE.
yeah, that's me. Hey, cool.
At is there
No,
an at?
that's like at that on Instagram.
Oh. That's
Yeah.
why I couldn't tag you today. I couldn't find you.
Oh,
At Saint. So it's just at Saint Jane.
yeah, saint.jane.
Oh, at Saint. God,
At saint.jane.
I'm gonna fix this. Hold on, everybody.
Yeah.
And it's JAYNE.
Yes, that's my middle name. And this is my old burlesque handle that I have never changed from my social media. So,
Oh my God, I wish.
yeah, there
We'll
used
talk
to be,
more.
we'll talk more. But yeah, that's my old burlesque handle that I've never changed. And now I have a book out, and I'm like, oh shit, I can't change it because it's in the book now. So that's what's going to be forever, which is fine. I'm totally good with that. And I also have a website where you can find a lot of my recipes and also information on my upcoming classes, which is thewitchesfeast.com, just the title of my book. So if you're interested in my writing, you can find that there. And I also update about my classes, my Etsy, and everything on my social media. Instagram's where I'm the most active. Never going to be on Twitter, barely on TikTok. I don't have a high tolerance for the internet, but you'll find me on Instagram.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for spending so much time with us. This has been fucking fantastic. And I can't thank you enough. And I will see you next week.
Yes, I'll see you next week. 7:30?
7:30.
7:30. All right.
7:30. I will send you and all the class attendees a Zoom link so that we can hook up and talk in a big group.
Amazing. Well, thank you all so much for joining and for your wonderful questions. I really appreciated the discussion. Thank you so much for having me. Have a great night, guys.
Yeah. Hey, enjoy your cocktail.
I will. Thank you.
Good night, everybody. I love you. Bye.